podcast. The Hot Mic Podcast is. Oh, they bring everybody else on. There he is. There's the whole crew. The Hot Mic Podcast is where divergent points of view debate and discuss hot topics. I'm Nathan the Barbarian, your humble host, and I'm not alone. Today we got TNT Nicole Taylor with us. How you doing,
Doing
TNT?
good. How's everybody?
And none other than sexy Phil Heimlich. How you doing,
No,
sexy Phil?
it's me, Phil Heimlich.
And Mac Mariani, how you doing,
Fantastic.
Mac? Good to see you, sir. Kevin Aldridge, the voice of reason. How are you?
Good. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
In replace of Terrace Horton, we got Gesco Whyte making his first appearance. How you doing,
Doing
Gesco?
well, everybody. Good to see everybody.
I got a question. All I can say is I hope this guy, Gesco, doesn't interrupt me as much as Terrace used to.
I'm not sure that's how it goes, but appreciate it. So you know what? We had some fun. It was a week ago, last Tuesday, and Phil and Terrace got into a little mini debate there, and we let the audience decide who won. They felt like Phil won that debate, and Terrace is such a good sport, he decided to come with a new
Hold on,
look.
I got a question.
Sure.
First of all, Terrace, I really admire your humility, however rare it is, in accepting the result of that poll. But this is what I don't understand. I've won every debate you and I have had. Why haven't you worn a costume before?
Halloween. This is Halloween spirit. We're getting in the Halloween spirit.
Okay.
And
I'm just wondering. That's all. I was just kind of wondering.
The poll results are very skewed because of the audience. Because nobody listens. I'm a good sport. And we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun with this. We're gonna have some fun with this. And I guarantee you, at the end of this programming, you guys are gonna have a newfound respect for Gesco Whyte, and you're gonna put some respect on his name.
May I ask a question? Is that the same guy as the dancing outlaw from West Virginia?
It's a spinoff from that. Yes, it is. It's a spinoff from the Gesco Whyte, but I spell it a little bit different. And the Whyte is W-Y-E-T, W-Y.
But when you appeared, I did do a little quick research, Gesco, and what I found it was this person. This is true. He's famous. His name is Dancing Outlaw, but he also is known to have a personality disorder.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Am I right? So I think that this is, shall we say, appropriate in many respects.
Or if you're implying that I have a personality disorder, then I mean that's hitting pretty below. That's pretty hitting below the belts. But I guarantee you, like I said, after the end of this programming, you're gonna put some respect on Gesco Whyte's name, because it's people like you, Phil, who Gesco Whyte is gonna talk. We're gonna talk to your people. We're gonna talk to your people today, Phil. We're gonna let you know Gesco Whyte is the type of person gonna let you know just how ridiculous your people sound.
Well, all I can say, my friend, is the expression, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the whatever, so that's all I can say.
All right. Well, let's get things started. To the audience, we really appreciate you being here. Let me say welcome to the first people in there. Regina, welcome to you. Blessed or Messy, welcome to you. Dina, welcome. Good afternoon. Brenda, welcome. Appreciate you. Nat, good to see you. And all the other friends who might be joining us along the way, really appreciate you. Just take a second, hit us with a like and lift us up with a share, and help us share and grow the podcast. Well, the biggest news story right now is the impending government shutdown.
Excuse me, can I just ask, can I ask a quick question?
Here he goes already.
Joe is not sorry to interrupt. I don't even know why he tells that lie. I don't even know why he tells that lie. I'm sorry to interrupt. You interrupt like 50 million times. You are not sorry. Quit saying
it's a logistical question. All I'm asking is, giving Nathan, you gave us, a list of topics, and you always suggest extremely relevant stuff like the violent squirrels and the abandoned subways, that kind of thing. But I do want to commit, but we are going to have a chance to talk about this Iris Rowley story, I hope, today. I'm very anxious to hear
knew that was at the top of your
Iris
list.
Rowley supporters, defending her, shall we say, a little bit of nepotism, if I understand. But
I can't wait to get into it, Phil. You already know. I know that is at the top of your list, sir. Yeah. So we'll definitely get to it. But first, let's start with the most relevant topic, which is we're less than 24 hours away from a government shutdown. It looks as if the two sides will not come to any kind of agreement. My question for the crew is very simple. If the government shuts down, who is to blame? Democrats, if I can spell it correctly, I'll change that in a second, or Republicans? Who is to blame? Let's get straight to it.
I think the system is to blame because don't we go through this like every 6 months or something like that, that we're at this point of government shutdown where whether it's the Democrats who are in power or the Republicans who are in power, like this is always just like some kind of political negotiating tool that both sides use to get what they want, politically, in sort of holding people in their government jobs hostage. So for me, this is just another tiresome episode that's going to repeat itself again in another 6 months, whether it's with the debt ceiling or whatever the hell else they come up with next. It's just to me, it's the same old tired politics, and it's not. It's to me, it's the system to blame. I know that that's not the popular answer for people who hate Trump and the Republicans, or Republicans who hate liberals when they're in power. But this is just a dumb function of the system that we just keep revisiting every 6 months or so that we have something to talk about, or that politicians have something to grandstand on.
Yeah, well, I'll say that the Republicans are to blame. I mean, we're in the shit hellhole we're in right now because of the big ugly bill. And I appreciate the Democrats doing whatever they can, being in the minority, to bring some sort of resources back to the people. There's already hospitals being shut down. Many people are losing jobs, resources, and it's about to get way worse before it get better. So in their efforts to try to repeal some of the things that is in that terrible bill that is going to impact millions of Americans, this is really an opportunity for some of those Republicans who, when they went back to their districts, was getting shouted down at their town halls because of the vote that they made. This is an opportunity for them to reverse course and make things better with their own constituents and with Americans. And so if they allow this opportunity to bypass and not correct the wrong, shame on them again.
Well, I would agree with Kevin here. I think, I think this is what we have right now, and we've had for a while, is performative politics. Politics is theater, and members of Congress and the administration and the members of the Republican leadership and the members of the minority, the way that government's supposed to function is that they're supposed to sit down and hammer these things out over the course of months. And instead, everybody spends their time on social media, and when they hire people, instead of hiring policy people, they hire social media people to help manage their Instagram and all this other stuff. Nobody wants to legislate, on the executive branch, they prefer to be on Twitter as well. So it's not surprising. This is the culmination of a long period of sort of prioritizing theater and brinksmanship over like the hard work of governing, and that governing requires compromise. It requires sitting down together and not getting everything that you want. But in our current environment, each side wants everything. Each side wants 100%. They want the other side to completely get nothing. And we're going to go through this again. My sense is that in these sort of fights, and like we saw this back, when this whole process sort of started back in '95. The president holds a lot more cards than the Congress does, because the president has unity of action. The president can just sit there and say no, and eventually there are going to be some members of whichever caucus that are going to start to feel the heat. So we're going to have to see this shift on Congress's part. I think the president will make it as painful as possible, and the Democrats are going to have to try to hang together, and that's whether they can is going to be the key test of it.
I agree with what everybody said about this as a political grandstand. Pretty much, it happens every 4 years. It reminds me of 2021 after Biden had won, and the midterms was supposed to be a big red wave coming through, and it was a blip or a blooper, but they were threatening government shutdown then. It was the exact same time. I mean, you go back to the timeline, it's the exact same. It was like 100 days after Biden had been in office. The midterms were coming up. Everybody was gearing up for the political grandstands. It's just unfortunate that that's the times that we're in. But like, you want to blame somebody? Everybody's blaming MAGA and the Republicans, but the Democrats are the one who are hold the least amount of power and can do anything. I mean, because it's going to go through anyway. So I don't think I think there's nobody to blame. This is just, like everybody said, political theater, politically grandstanding, people going back to their constituency and trying to say, this is what we're going to do to try to get money for their coffers to win their race that they got coming up in November.
Phil, you want to jump in?
Well, for me, the issue isn't who's to blame, but whether it's right for the Democrats to essentially refuse to go along with continuing the government. And I am concerned what Donald Trump is going to do when you have a government shutdown, what kind of crazy destructive steps he's going to take. But I still lean toward agreeing that with the Democrats shutting it down now. And I would call this the wrong solution for the right, but for the right time. In the past, I would agree with everyone that it was just basically a bargaining chip and was really taking a huge risk of hurting our government just to get some particular policy position. But I just think this is different. This is a situation where our democracy is at risk here. You have a president who is ordering the Justice Department to prosecute his enemies. Has that ever happened in this country before? We have a situation where we have a president who's sending troops, and he's not even, okay, maybe you could say DC has a big crime problem, but Portland? I mean, this is an attempt to undermine our democracy. You also have, of course, mass deportations of people who've committed no crime except being here, and many of them being here illegally. I just think this is a dangerous, dangerous time. And sometimes these kind of dangerous times require radical steps. So even though I'm a little concerned,
Phil,
I agree with the Democrats.
That was a political grandstand right there. Everybody knows what's going on, and you want to go off and start talking about everything else that we already know. We just stick to the script. We're talking about one specific thing, and then you go talking about deportation and all this other stuff. Stick to the script, man.
Okay, well, sticking to the script, the question, I guess, then is it worth shutting down the government to at least provide adequate health care, which I think the Affordable Care Act did a pretty good job. I would say, yes, it is worth it just for that. However, what I'm trying to say is there are so many outrageous acts that have been committed by this administration that it's almost like, where do you start? Do you try to restore health care? Do you try to stop sending troops to cities? Do you try to stop targeting political punts for prosecution? Yeah, I don't know where to start, but if it's just keeping affordable health care for people, that alone, in my opinion, is worth doing.
Right.
Yeah, this is another example of how the mainstream media has completely failed us, because people don't even know what the real issue is. Because instead of calling balls and strikes as they are, the mainstream media primarily wants to play this game where there's this false equivocation. I mean, we'll just take Donald Trump's own words many years ago. What did he say about government shutdowns? He said that would be the fault of the president, because the president's supposed to be the person who has negotiation skills to manage it and negotiate for both sides. He's the president. The Republicans have control of the Supreme Court. They have control of the House of Representatives, that's Senate, and as well. They have all of the cards. I mean, do people even know what the Democrats are asking for? I mean, to my knowledge, what I've read, what they're asking for, and the only thing they're asking for is to protect the subsidies for the ACA, so that 20 million people don't lose their health coverage and their premiums don't go up by $300-400. That's the only thing they're asking for. Meanwhile, what you're hearing from the Republicans is what amounts to fear mongering to me. They keep telling people stuff like, well, the Democrats are trying to get more money for immigrants so they can get health care, which is a complete lie. But instead of the mainstream media doing its job and telling people the truth, they're so punked out and so scared, so neutered that they play this false equivocation game. It is not the system, it's the people who are running the system. That's what it really is. So 100%, just taking Donald Trump's own words, he's the president. He said that in a shutdown, you can blame the person at the top. Who's the person at the top right now? I mean, and then add this to it. Congress, the House of Representatives, is shut down right now. They're not even meeting. Who shut it down? Speaker Mike Johnson. The Democrats didn't shut it down. Like literally the doors are locked right now when they should be negotiating. But instead of telling people the truth, media is so punked out, and for good reason, that they can't even tell people what's really going on. They got to play these games like, well, it's both sides. It is not both sides. You got one Speaker of the House who controls it. The doors are locked as we speak right now. How is this the Democrats' fault? But that's just my opinion about it. You know, people have to make their own decision, but these are facts. This is not my opinion. These are the facts. It's shut as we speak. So how are we blaming both sides when one side holds the keys? It just doesn't make any sense. And there's such a lack of education with the public that the public can't even make a qualified decision about what's really going on.
Right.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. A shutdown doesn't serve anybody. I mean, you had the president who last week was saying on social media that he's ordering the Republicans to not even negotiate. What?
They've been stopped negotiating. And that's the other part of the problem is that most of these, Congress is supposed to work together. And the fact that, a lot of these bills are being passed and it's so partisan, they don't even try for the other side to hear any of their opinions or even to add. And if they do come up with a bill, it's almost just dead upon arrival type situation. And even the meeting that the president, who he did this yesterday in the final hour, he canceled the meeting with Speaker with Hakeem Jeffries and the other, Chuck Schumer. And so and the clock was ticking, and now he just happened to just do it again. And immediately after their meeting become the press conferences, it doesn't seem like any meeting of the minds or just an effort to work together. But that's very hard to do when you have the president looking at the other party as the enemy. And like Phil said, even maliciously targeting and using the government to attack them. And so, it's going to be very, very hard these next couple of years to get anything passed. He's going to pretty much do everything by executive order because the process that we known all this time for our government to function, it can't function with a leader or a president like what we have right now.
I think another thing that I bring up is the in terms of just this outright corruption. Let's not even talk about the money that Trump has gotten, the plane that he's going to get. He gets about the billions that these Middle East Arab nations are putting into his company, World Liberty. But on top of that, they're trying to basically they're rigging. They are rigging the election system by trying to get red states to add, more Republican congressional districts,
and they're going to be successful in that.
Which, in my opinion, is so dangerous and so undemocratic. Again, you can go use that whole list, but we are in a dangerous situation. That's the point.
You guys are talking. Can I bring up to some of you guys are talking about how
Gesco.
The Republicans are doing everything. How about what the Democrats did in saying that electing Donald Trump is a threat to our society and all this fear mongering and hate mongering that the Democrats pushed on the other side? So it's not.
That's a separate issue.
I'm gonna wrap it back around. So when everybody's blaming Donald Trump for the things that he's doing and being on his retribution tour, which I agree he's doing, there's no denying that he's doing. He's not a grown-up person. He's acting like a child. Until we get somebody in there that's gonna calm the temperature and start thinking with a level head, we're going to keep going back and forth, blaming the finger and saying it's the Democrats or the Republicans because Trump can justifiably say and justifiably put his attack dogs like Patel on these people because there was people in the crowd at January 6th. So he gives them a little something to go off of, and then go run down that rabbit hole, and then keep the MAGA people saying, yeah, January 6th was not an issue. So I understand what y'all are saying, and that's why I'm the voice of reason. Oh, not the voice of reason, but I'm the other side saying, you guys,
the new voice of reason.
but I'm saying on the MAGA side of the game, they can sit back and say it's all the Democrats, and they're just undoing all the stuff that Biden and his administration did. Immigration started by Biden. They can say that all day long.
No. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to say. But, but going back to it, the other thing is what needs to happen, in my opinion, is they need to have the president, Republican, Democrat leaders need to get together in public. Let the media be there so they can actually see what's being negotiated. And
no,
what's
you
being
can't get
asked
things
for.
done that way. I don't agree with that.
Oh, absolutely,
No,
you can.
Everybody's
Absolutely. It doesn't mean that all the negotiations.
I mean, if you really want legitimate negotiations, you don't do it because you can't be honest. You can't be honest when you have
I'm
cameras
surprised that you say that, Phil Heimlich. Weren't you on city council?
Yes, I try to. That's kind of a skeleton in my closet, but yes.
And weren't all of your deliberations in
No,
public?
not necessarily. For example,
wasn't it in public though?
If you let me answer the question, we have a thing called in the law called executive session. So, for example, if we get sued by somebody, if there's a legal matter, we can talk in confidence. That's legal. We go into what they call executive session.
I didn't say you couldn't talk in confidence. I said you deliberate and talk about when you vote. It's all in public.
I just told you that is not always the case when it.
Well, something must have changed, Phil, because I can go on city cable and see all of the committee meetings. I can see the general election.
First of all, let's clarify a few things, okay?
Let's clarify.
There's two things involved here. Again, I don't believe they've gotten rid of executive sessions, okay? But that's when there's a lawsuit involved. However, let's talk about how bills actually get done on city council. It isn't just somebody gets in public and says, hey, I got an idea here. What do you think about this? No, there's communication between the council members off the record where they say, well, I think this, and he says, I think this, and maybe they compromise. Then they introduce it publicly.
What he's saying is true, because I have to go to a special meeting today that we're going to go into an executive session. If what Phil is saying is absolutely true, but when he's talking about city council, he's not talking about when he's talking about city council. I believe that he's true because I'm have to do this exact thing he's saying to do today. Special meeting, executive session that we're discussing city business that we can't discuss in front of people because it could, like Phil said, it could lead to a suit,
legal jeopody. But
when we do vote, we will vote in front of public. But we will go in locked doors today. We're going in locked doors to discuss an referendum that I had to read over and make sure that I agreed with. It's some financial. So Phil is absolutely right on that one. I don't even want to agree.
Phil is absolutely wrong. Phil is absolutely wrong because, and maybe Kentucky is different, but for Cincinnati City Council, yeah, they can have individual conversations and talk about stuff, but they cannot do it in a quorum. We just had the Gang of Five for doing that.
I didn't say
because it has to be. Let me finish. Because it has to in City Council. You cannot have a quorum that's a majority of voting council members cannot discuss.
We're not talking. You don't need a quorum. You don't need a quorum to develop policy.
They cannot discuss the business of city council in a quorum unless it's in public.
That's true.
Well, listen, that's what I'm saying, Phil. On city council is like 5 people. Okay. Yes.
It depends on who the.
Yeah, it depends.
But again, repeating what Tara said, there is an exception when it comes to executive session.
But
and
now
if you don't
we're
believe
getting
that,
away
Nathan,
from my
then
point.
just call up the city hall or call up the solicitor and ask them.
I don't need to call the city because my point is sound. You're trying to muddy the waters. Like I said, the Democrats and the Republicans, they've done it many times before. The last time that Trump was in office and they were dealing with a government shutdown, there's video of him and Chuck Schumer sitting in the Oval Office talking about it in the media.
Subject. Let me stick to what you said.
No, I'm on point. I haven't changed the subject at all. As I said before, and I'll say it again, Phil, The Democrats and the Republicans need to do what they've done in the past.
Okay,
They
let's go
already
back.
did it
I
in the
don't want
first
your
Trump
statement
term.
about city council to go unrefuted, though. And I'm not even talking executive session.
You can refute it all you want to,
Why
but
don't
like
you
I
just let
said,
me finish,
on
Nathan?
city council, they have
Yeah,
public
why don't you let me
meetings
finish?
when they're
The
voting.
issue is, and I think I don't know how many are on Terrace's council, but I think he'd probably agree with this. The fact of the matter is, on Cincinnati City Council, there are 9 people. Okay, now
Yeah,
it is true 5 can't get together in somebody's office. That is true.
that's my point.
Would you
That's
let
my
me
point.
finish? I'm the one who's on city council. Can I tell you how it works? Do you mind?
You can give me your you
Well,
can
I'll
give me your
just tell you,
thoughts on it, but I
as you
just
like
told
to
you
say,
how
I'm
it
just
works.
giving you the facts. Here is how legislation comes before city council. Okay?
I'm not worried about legislation. The point I'm trying to make, Phil, and I've already made it. It is irrefutable.
It's not. It's
As I
easily
said
refutable.
before, the
Easily.
Democrats and the Republicans need to get together with Donald Trump and have a conversation about what they're negotiating about the shutdown in public, like they did during the first term. Period.
That was a show. That wasn't where the real negotiation was. Do you really think when Trump gets together, whether it's with Netanyahu or whether he gets together with Schumer and these people, you think those decisions are made in public? Because if you do, you are totally naive about how legislation
I
is.
think
And if you give me a chance to,
I'm not
if
worried
you
about
give me
how
a chance to
legislation works.
explain about, because it's the same thing.
Please go right
Cincinnati
ahead.
City Council. It is true. You cannot have 5 members together at a time. You can only have 4. But it's very simple. Just let me finish. Could you let me finish, Nathan? Somebody,
not stopping you.
okay, somebody comes up like I did. I had the curfew or something. Okay. All right. I come up with this idea. I can remember right now, I met with Roxanne Qualls and Bobby Stern, talked to them about it. I met with Nick Veer, all perfectly legal.
And when you voted
Yes, but
in
we're not
public,
talking
correct?
about the voting.
Okay, then that's it, Phil. That's it.
You're
Well,
saying you
it
want
is a little bit different what you're suggesting, Nathan. I hate to say this, but I do kind of agree with Phil, to some degree. And before I make my comment, Phil, I'll just say this. I love what Nathan was doing to you because he gave you a taste of what you do
Taste
with
of your
everybody else
medicine.
on this podcast
I
by not letting you get your full thought out. And I just have to say,
good.
I've been sitting back eating my popcorn, watching it, and loving it because you got a healthy dose of your own medicine right there.
Yeah.
But I think the point that Phil is trying to make, and I don't entirely disagree, is that anytime you put cameras and things in there, you're going to get the performative act of the elected officials, most likely because they have to be performative for their base. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's reasonable to compare local politics to the national politics. I think they're two different animals. To talk about a city council and compare that to Congress, I think you're talking about 2 totally different things, even though they're negotiating and trying to pass things. But I do think, and I think everybody in Congress would tell you that this is absolutely true. That they do get more. Nathan, let me finish my thought. Bro. I sat back and let y'all talk for 10 minutes. I'm talking for 10 seconds. I can't even get my own thought out. So even Congress people themselves have said that they're able to get more things done out of the purview of the cameras because their colleagues won't say and do certain things when the cameras are on.
But you are wrong, sir.
Nathan, I'm not saying that it never happens, but on some issues, you can bring Greg Landsman, you can bring any number of Congress people on here and say, you want to try to act like what you say happens 100% of the time. And that's just not true. It's not true, bro.
All I know is that we're talking about the government shutdown. Is that correct?
What you say happens 10 out of 10 times.
Are we talking about the government shutdown or not?
That's not true.
Are we talking about the government shutdown or not? We're not talking about some issues. In this issue, all I know is that Democrats have said, let's have a conversation in public.
They want, Democrats want to have the conversation in public when it's convenient for them. And this is what I'm talking about the performative nature and the grandstanding of these politics.
So what's wrong with having a conversation in public about the shutdown?
I'm not particularly moved by it because you know what's going to happen? The same thing that's happened the last 10 times. we've had a government shutdown. Yeah, it might get shut down for a week. Yeah, it might get shut down for 2 weeks, but eventually it's going to get solved, and nothing significant is going to
That's where you're wrong again, sir.
Change or going to happen, because we've seen this movie a million times before.
Again.
See me in 2 weeks.
We have not seen this a million times before. That is not accurate.
See me in 2 weeks.
That's the problem. You're still thinking analog. We're in a digital world. Stop thinking about what used to happen and the way things used to be. All that's
this
over
was 6
with.
months ago.
We're in a whole new political
This was 6 months ago. You act like we're talking about 6 years ago. We just went through this. We just went through the threat of a government shutdown and the whole debt ceiling and all of this doom and gloom about what was going to happen. And I think even they did shut it down for about a week. And guess what? They solved it. People went back to work. They got back pay. Still had health care. Nothing changed. And the same thing. That's why
that's easy for you to say because it don't affect you. It's real easy for you to say that, Kevin, because it don't affect you.
I didn't say nobody got affected by it.
There's a lot of people out there that might be affected by it, and they can't be so it don't really matter, right? It's real easy to do that when you're talking about somebody else's livelihood and somebody else's check. It's real easy to say, oh, it don't matter.
I never said. I never said it didn't matter.
In the position of people
you
out
never
there.
Heard me say it didn't
okay,
matter.
so if it matters, let's act like it matters though. So here's where you're wrong. You're acting like it don't matter.
Acting like it don't matter. What I'm acting like is we go through this every 6 months.
You just said, oh, this happens all the time. In 2 weeks, we'll get back.
The problem is with the system and the way that it's set up. That politicians are able,
but you're wrong about that too. It's not about the system. It's about the people that's in charge of the system.
I said that was my opening comment. That it's wrong.
And
you were wrong.
It's not about the system. It's about the people in charge of the system. But here's where the confusion is, and this is why I say that we need to have these conversations in front of people. Because right now there's a big discrepancy between what the Democrats are saying they want, that the Democrats want, and what the Republicans are saying that the Democrats want. Because the Republicans are in power. Right. So that's why I suggested that they do it in public. That way, the media and the public can hear straight from the horse's mouth.
But they're not going to talk straight in front of the public. That's what Kevin's saying. They will not.
What are you talking about? I can go to YouTube right now and pull it up and show you during Trump's first term when him and Chuck Schumer were sitting there talking about it. And Donald Trump said, well, hell, shut it down then. Blame me. They will talk about it. We're talking about it.
They won't
so
be
now
honest.
The public don't matter.
Talk honestly. They won't negotiate honestly in public. Just doesn't happen.
But at the very least, it'll be public. Sunshine matters. Sunshine matters. The public being able to see what's being said.
No, they're not seeing what's
what
being
difference
said.
does the public seeing what's said if what's being said is fake? Look, at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, what do you care more about, the performative art or results? And that's what the people have to ask themselves. Do I care more about the performative art? In my estimation, we got too much performative art right now and not enough results. And I just know for a fact that anytime you put media in front of people, whether it's politicians, whether it's average Joe on the street, people change. They straighten up. Their voice is different.
Yeah, but then the people can hold you accountable.
They act different, and that is the truth. I'm a full proponent of sunlight is the best disinfectant, but I also know that people are going to be very guarded in what they say, and you're never going to get the 100% straight dope. Not from
Kevin, stop it. Aren't you about to host aren't you about to moderate a debate between the two mayoral candidates?
Absolutely. And that's going to be super informative. You think these candidates don't? You think these candidates come into these debates?
You can't even answer the question because we already know what the answer is. You can't even answer the question now. Go right ahead, sir. Is it public?
It's not a negotiation.
But they're not. But they're not. They're not.
Wait. Why should it be public?
What?
It's just going to be performative.
Yeah, well, look. What you hope is
because it matters.
The hope is always that you can get some honest moments. And a lot of the questions that we design to try to elicit honest responses, but you can't control that.
Yeah, but it's just going to be performative.
But you can't control that. Absolutely, it's performative. I would say that 9 times out of 10 that is absolutely performative.
So for the same
Politics
reasons,
is
so for the
performative,
same
Nathan.
reasons why,
Politics is
for the
performative.
same reasons that
You
you're
live
about
in
to
this. You
host
live in
and
this
moderate it, and
fantasy
it's going to be
land. You live
public.
in this fantasy land, Nathan. And I wish you would.
What
I wish you
fantasy
would wake
land?
up, bro. Where
All
you
I'm
think
saying
politicians and politics are not what it is. There is very rarely, if anything, genuine.
All I'm saying is be
about
consistent,
politics, bro.
sir.
Very rarely. Very
If it's important enough for the public to be there for a mayoral candidate debate, then it's important enough for the public to see Democrats and Republicans debate about the shutdown. Period. That's irrefutable.
And a negotiation are two different things, Nathan. You don't understand.
They both should be public because they impact the public.
You're more intelligent than this, bro. You're intelligent enough to know that there's a difference between a debate and a negotiation. Aren't you? Now tell me you understand there's a difference.
And you're more intelligent to know that the public, when the public is concerned, they have a right to be there.
The public don't
whether
have
it's a
right
debate
there.
or a government shutdown.
Neither Phil
so all
nor I
I'm
is
saying,
saying that.
The same rationale that you're using to explain why the public should be at a debate for the mayoral candidates is the same rationale that explains why the public should be able to see the two sides negotiate a shutdown. It's the same.
Nathan,
Stop it.
Nathan,
Let's move on.
Let me ask you
Let's
this.
go on.
Nathan, let me
Let's
ask you this.
on.
Why do you think in professional sports, by and large?
We're not talking about sports. We're talking about politics.
Negotiations in general. Why
Apples and oranges, sir. Keep it to politics.
Negotiations out of the press. Why do you think they try to keep negotiations?
Next, you'll be talking about figure skating.
Come on, man.
I don't want to talk about sports. I want to talk about politics.
People don't want to negotiate in front of the press. Why? Because when things get in the press, it changes things. And negotiations go better when you keep it out of the press. Anybody who's done negotiations knows this. And there's no lawyer in their right mind who would ever advise clients to negotiate a contract or negotiate anything in front of the press.
Okay. I think I've made my point. I hear what you're saying, but it makes no sense to me whatsoever. The public, when it impacts the public to something on this degree, like a government shutdown, and again, it might not impact you. It might not impact people in the audience, but there are millions of people that are going to be impacted by this. Everybody can't go 2 weeks without a paycheck and get back pay. And we just acting like it's no big deal. That's huge. And so when the public is involved, the public should be involved. That's what I'm saying. And this government shutdown has huge implications to the public. And if you got two sides saying two different things, open it up and let people see. They did it last time when Trump was in office. Why won't they do it now? See, these are the kind of questions that the media should be asking. Instead of making false equivocations about both sides can't come to an agreement. That's not necessarily true. And it misleads and misinforms the public. Do your job, media. Do your job. Stand up. That was good, though.
I see TNT eating that popcorn back there. First of all,
I can't believe people are more.
Before we move on to the next topic, can we give TNT her credit for having that Jamar Chase jersey?
That's what somebody else was saying earlier today.
First of all, that is fandom right there. If I ever hear anybody dare to challenge TNT's rock solid support of the Bengals, I will fight them for you on that TNT. To show up in that jersey today, that lets me know that you are 100%.
And it's okay. I might be the only one in Cincinnati rocking a Bengals jersey today, but I love Chase. And I feel bad for him, right now, because I know he felt like this is going to be the season. He wants to deliver. It's still early in the season. We don't know, but yeah. I have to be honest, I ain't even watched the second half, so I don't even know what the score was. But we lost.
You ain't missed nothing.
You ain't missed nothing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got your rest. I wish I would have been that smart and cut it off at halftime. I should have.
I had planned.
See, TNT's a real fan.
Because I like this.
TNT's a real fan.
Come on.
See, TNT's a real fan.
Yeah, no, that's a fan. That's a real fan.
Do you guys want to hear I want to hear a little anecdote about being a fan? Okay, sure. When I was on city council or county commissioner or whatever, occasionally when Bill Cunningham or Mike McConnell were like on vacation, they would just let me host the whole show, which by the way was a great just get some PR, no cost. But anyway, so one time, all right, you remember the infamous Bob Huggins? Okay, I got on and I just lit into him for basically hiring guys who had no academic credentials for all that kind of stuff. Okay, I really got on it.
Academic
What?
credentials.
You know what I mean?
You
Hiring,
got on
and
academic
the
credentials.
point is for basically cheating and all the other stuff he did, whatever. But the point is, okay, so I said this, all right? So anyway, I get this call from from two guys who were big donors to me, and they loved Huggins, and they were so upset they were going to cut me off or something, you know? Okay,
Good.
so
Good.
let me finish, all right? So I let these guys, one of them was a very prominent attorney, and another guy, I actually, next time I was on LW hosting, I let those guys get on and say what they had to say about me, really rip into me, and I'll never forget this line because at the last thing, and I'll even think of I'll think of his name in a minute, Bill, but anyway, his last line on WLW about me was, Phil, you may think you're a fan, but you're really just an athletic supporter.
A jock strap. I get it.
I thought that was a good line. Anyway,
you get it. He said you just an athletic supporter, like a jock strap. They were
yes, exactly.
Let me on that one time. I got to get to because Phil said something to me in a show or past, and I thought about it a lot. Because Phil said, "Oh, you think Mike Brown's going to care if you take care?" You know what, Phil? There's a lot of because you don't understand about the fandom. Because I'm sure you were a band dude or something. I'm sure you you never played a varsity sport in your life. I can put money.
I was on the varsity tennis team where I went to school, but that's
cool.
I
That's admirable. That's
wasn't
admirable.
Band. I can't play an instrument, not in the band.
But anyways, whenever it comes to fandom, you might have expendable amount of money, but when these Bengal fans go out there and they spend their last $200 on a ticket, or their last $200 on going down to the banks and trying to feel some kind of good dopamine, and you threw it away like Mike Brown and his daughter are gonna have no empathy. We just see what type of elitist you are because you think in those terms. Most regular people, that $200 for that ticket or those hot dogs, that means a lot to them. But people like you who do the sports, you don't understand the sport. You don't understand what it be a fan.
I don't understand.
You probably
sports.
Had nobody watching
really?
your tennis matches. You probably had nobody
I don't watch
your tennis
I
matches.
watch college football and college basketball, and I'll put my knowledge on that against anybody.
Just saying.
Well, I'm gonna make a statement here, which I'm sure many won't agree with. But real fans of the Bengals never turn the TV off. It doesn't matter what the score is. If you support the Bengals, you support them. They can be down 72-0.
You're
watch every single
minimizing her fan support in that comment.
Hey, whatever the case may be, real fans don't turn the TV off. I had my TV on the whole time. Who day?
I might have been sleeping.
Who day?
I did too. It hurt. It was painful. I wanted. To,
it was very.
It reminded me of when I was in college and me and my friends used to play video games. And sometimes on the game you be getting your behind whoop and you want to hit the reset button, but if you hit the reset button, that they gonna clown you even more than if you just sat there and took it. And so that's what that game lasted. The last 2 weeks have reminded me of that experience, just having to sit there and take it. And not cut it off. And so you're right. I sat there and watched it as if hoping they might do anything that would give me hope that Detroit wasn't going to put 70 up on them this Sunday. I don't know, man. It could be. I'm gonna watch and pray that they don't put 70 on us, but I'm scared. I gotta admit that right now. If we don't look no better than we had the last 2 weeks, it's gonna be another classic. But
if you don't watch all of the bad times, you're robbing yourself from the incredible highs of the good times. You gotta be with the team no matter what. That's just my humble opinion. Which
I agree with that.
Don't do with it. But let's move on here. Let's talk about local news. I-Team did a whole story on consultant Iris Rowley, who's a friend of the show. She's been on before.
She's not a friend of everybody.
I got a very simple question for you.
Continue.
You guys are friends. Stop it. Here's my question. Is the I-Team's news story on Iris Rowley and her son fake news or real news?
Yes.
Fake
You
news
had a
or
lot to
real
say,
news?
Phil. I want Phil to go first. He had a lot to say before. Like we wanted to
Oh,
get
oh,
There you go,
believe me,
Gesco.
get it on, Phil.
I am happy to jump in on this thing. Okay,
Do
don't
it.
worry about
Do it
that.
then.
All right. First of all, when you say is it real or fake news, I'm assuming that the facts. I haven't seen her contract. Okay, I haven't seen her son's paycheck. But if these facts are correct, which is first of all that she got $570,000 over 3 years, of which 105,000 is for her, and she gets another. She, not the monitors, she gets another 150,000 for 2 quarters of this government square thing. For okay, so she in 1 year or less than a year, she's making $355,000. Now I know you guys think she like walks on water and whatever they pay her is worth it. Well, I think that's a little bit much, but putting that aside, and again, if it turns out their facts are wrong in this, then it's fake news. But assuming the facts,
Well, let's assume the facts are right.
well, if they're right, that in itself says it's not fake. But if you're asking me about my opinion, if you're asking my opinion, first of all, okay, maybe it is technically legal to pay her kid
Not
4,000.
technically, not. Don't throw technically. Just say that it's legal.
Legal.
No need to include technically.
It's legal.
Well,
But it is.
Finish your thought. Go ahead. I just wanted to clear that point.
It is legal, but it is blatantly unethical. Okay, blatantly
hold on.
unethical.
I want to ask a question, Phil.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
It
Let him finish.
is blatantly unethical. All she should have to do before hiring her kid was send a letter to the city manager or get on the phone, whatever, and say, listen, I want to hire my kid, but I know that doesn't, here's the thing, it doesn't pass the smell test. That's the problem, okay? It doesn't pass.
Smell test.
Let him finish, Gesco. Let him finish.
Smell test is what is ethical, not necessarily what is legal. It is unbelievably unethical for her to do that without at least first informing the city about it. Okay, and what I thought was actually almost kind of funny was she goes, "Oh, but my son was well qualified because he's had a bunch of criminal convictions." Like, oh yeah, well, sure. I mean, of course. I mean, he's qualified because he's been convicted of a lot of things. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Come on, Phil. That's a little bit unfair in terms
That's
of
what
the
she said.
characterization.
I want to ask a question.
Here's what I'll say.
I got to ask a question first. What
Let Gesco get in, Kevin, please.
bothers you the most? Is it that she hired her son to make less than $30 an hour to work? I mean, because when you break down,
it's not less than 30 an hour. It's not less than 30 an hour.
$1,200 or $4,400 a month is like $1,100.
No, we don't know. It wasn't a full. I don't know. It wasn't a full-time job. You don't know how many hours he worked.
A month.
Let him finish, Phil. Let him finish.
$4,400 a month is $1,100 a week. $1,100 a week.
Not a
working a
full-time
40-hour shift is only less than 30.
He's not working a 40-hour shift, perhaps.
You don't know that, so all you're doing is you're
white-blading
and you're looking at a number, and you're looking at a number, and you're trying to point the finger at something that your people been doing for generations and generations, and this is the reason why your people have gotten on ahead.
Sorry,
so one time somebody's doing something.
Who are my people?
I'm in character. I'm in character. The people who are in control of who are usually the job givers. Like I said on this programming several times, all you guys, the white people you guys fail me every time, because when you need to do the right thing, you don't do the right thing ever. And then you see somebody doing something, and who you talk about Iris Rowley making a certain amount of money. Who cares how much money? Why are you pocket watching her? You should be down there beside her, helping her with these kids. I don't think $300,000 is enough.
How much?
How
much do you want to pay her?
How can you put a price tag on one life? How can you put a price tag on somebody who could potentially touch somebody else? You don't have the litmus test on it, because I say, Phil, you're out of touch, way out of touch.
Let me just say this. Nathan asked, was the investigation news or was it fake news? Let me just say this, and I'm going to try to not be too critical of my colleagues in the media. And here's what makes me skeptical about this being just a continued politicization and attack on Iris. Here's what I would say from a journalistic standpoint. any sort of look and review in terms of how the city is doing its business and the contracts that it's giving out is fair game for investigations and to look at. What troubles me about this is you're only looking at Iris. You know, this is what makes me think that this is the continued politicization of the attack on her. Now, if the I team wanted to go in and examine all of the city contracts, right, that the contracts that city has with contractors, and look through all of those contracts and try to see if nepotism exists in any way in any of the other contracts that the city has with contractors, that might have been a more legitimate investigation and just didn't look like you were just trying to go for a political hit for Iris. I would say that that's a fair game, that's a fair investigation. But my sense in this is that the only reason the I team looked at it is that they were probably put up to it by somebody. Most likely one of the people that they quoted in the story said, hey, I've looked at these contracts and you need to go see that Iris Rowley has paid her son. And I think that's a news story. I think that I don't know that for a fact, but I think that that's the genesis of how this story has come out. And I think it's a continuation of the FOP's attack on Iris and others who want to get at her at this time. Now, that's my point about the investigation, right? And if we're going to be critical of Iris, let's go and look at all of the contracts, because I think to Gesco's point, you know, people are awfully loud when it's a Black woman like Iris who's doing this. But let's not forget, wasn't it Pat DeWine who made sure his son wound up with a plush internship over at the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office when Joe Dieters was the prosecutor over there? Nobody seemed to have a problem with that little bit of nepotism at the time. Nobody was complaining about other people who could have been eligible for that internship.
Was it public?
Huh? Was
that public that he did that?
Yes.
Yeah, there were news stories.
Yes,
this wasn't public until they found it. She didn't tell anybody about it. Nobody.
It shouldn't be public. Why should it be public? Like Kevin said, why should they do that to just her? Like Kevin said, they should investigate everybody. If they're going to pull up everybody's, and the nepotism in this part gets on my nerves. This is just one hiring of her son. There's so many backdoor deals done from cousins, from uncles, from nephews, and all this kind of stuff. And you guys are micro looking at all of this. To me, that's just another way of birth of a nation. Back in the 1800s when they had that film that come out, and they put the microscope on everything that Black people do. Put the microscope on it. Let's look at it, because if it looks or resembles anything like what we're doing to stay on top, we need to root it out. And you know that's the truth, Phil.
Now here's what I would say on Phil's point, and I'll let TNT and Matt get in. Was it illegal? Heck no. What is it? Is it anything that the city of Cincinnati could do in their hiring practices? No. Is it something that I would advise someone who is in the business, who is doing any kind of business, to hire a family member and pay them in doing that? I probably wouldn't advise that. But if the city did not expressly say to Iris within her contract, don't do this, then she's kind of at liberty to do whatever she thinks is best in the execution of that program to be effective. And I think to say that her son was qualified because he had been in trouble, I think misses the point of what Iris was trying to say, is that someone who has made mistakes and has rectified their life is in a position sometimes to go and talk to kids who are at the street level. They might listen.
There's no argument about that.
Well, let me finish my point, Phil. Some of those kids are more apt to listen to Iris's son than they would to listen to myself or Nathan or you.
There's a lot of people that aren't her son.
There's a different connection some people have that makes them more effective because of their experience.
No disagreement there.
And I think that's what Iris was saying, and I think that was a little bit of a low shot and an unfair characterization of her son.
No, the issue.
Go ahead, TNT.
The point was, you could find. Let's be honest. If she wanted to get somebody who had convictions but had turned his life around, I get no problem with that. I think that's a good point.
What would you do if it was your son?
If I was in that situation, and I felt my son was the right person, as I said before, even though it's technically legal, they have, what's that expression? It's a biblical one. Kevin, somebody help me. But the appearance. It's the issue of the appearance of wrongdoing, which is in many cases we say is
Who's to
bad.
say it's wrong? Who's to
Let
say
me
that's
finish.
wrong?
Why don't you let me answer your question? I would not have had a problem from an ethical standpoint if she had contacted the city manager, written a letter, said, I believe I want to hire my son, but I know
Ask for
that doesn't look
permission.
good. Is
Ask
that,
for
excuse
permission.
me, let me finish. Is that okay with you? If she did that, I have no problem.
Ask for permission.
Look,
Remember
look,
we were
look,
talking.
look,
Remember
look.
you had the rabbi
It's
on
the
there when we were talking
appearance
about
of
you walk
impropriety.
beside.
That's
You
what
walk
it is.
beside. That's what happens when you team up with white people. They walk beside you, but they want you to walk beside in a subservient role. They gave her the money to do what she pleased to do with it, and she did what she did with it. And you want to come in and try to police how she's dictate what she's doing with the money. That's why when you had the rabbi on there, and I said, with Black America, whenever you guys team up with us, you want to put us in some subservient role. We know what we're doing. Why we got to check in? Why she got to write a letter to the city manager for white people to feel better because she's hiring her son? Come on.
Go ahead, Gesco. This is the thing. It's totally fake news. This is a continuation of a political attack on a Black woman. It should have ended when the Channel 9 News found out that this was not illegal, and if you read the article, it says it's not illegal or unethical by the city standards because
They
one,
didn't say it wasn't unethical.
yeah,
It
they
was
said
just the
that too.
opposite.
They
They
said
had a
that
guy
too.
on the show who testified
They
on the
said that
show
Let
too.
her
that he
finish,
said it
It's
was
Phil.
not illegal.
unethical.
And
If
I'm
it's
sure
not
he looked
illegal,
just
it's
like
not
you,
unethical.
Phil.
Let
Yeah,
her
let's see.
finish.
He's an
Let TNT
independent
speak.
contractor. It's not the same as a politician or someone official with the government. So it is separate and different. So she has the absolute right to hire whoever she wants to hire because she's been contracted as an independent contractor. That's totally different. So you cannot conflate that as the same as someone like the example that Kevin gave, which you totally stole my thunder. But what was illegal and definitely unethical was former Justice Pat DeWine when he asked the former prosecutor to hire his grandson, what's his name, Matt DeWine, for a summer internship, and he did. And that wasn't out in the forefront. It was a city beat who did an investigation, looked and found the email exchanges and saw that this actually happened. And that's illegal, and it falls under unlawful interest in a public contract because what's unethical is you have a Supreme Court justice asking a prosecutor for a favor, and then he follows up and does it. It's not the same. And so, with you trying to conflate the lines of independent contractor with actual officials, and then they put this out here in the news for people to get confused and think this is the same caliber of individuals. It is not. It is not. The real story, and I love what my girl attorney Diana Belli said. The real story, Rolly's team, and I'm gonna read from her post. Rolly team handed out information on job opportunities and mental health resources, interacting with young people in a positive way. Cincinnati police said in April 2025 that juvenile arrests were down 56% at government schools compared to a year earlier. And violent crime.
Well, because of her son. You're saying because of her son?
Because of the son that her,
Yes.
the
Her
work
work.
that her son did, and that team. And she says she's been doing free work for the city and sacrificing herself for us for years. And we all know this. Everybody that knows Iris knows what she's done.
How many years has she been on payroll?
That's the problem. It becomes a problem when as soon as we get paid or anything, then you have people like yourself and people in the city, political hacks that try to demonize and do anything to stop her money, stop her power, and everything else. And that is wrong. You are completely wrong. This is another political hit piece. I don't even give it energy and air to click on it. When I saw that, I just scrolled right past. And I hope other people continue to don't even give it the clicks because it is a complete waste of time, only because of the need for this particular podcast to discuss it. I looked into that, but if it was any way to not even click on it, I wouldn't even done that because it is a complete lie. It is not illegal, and it's definitely.
Well, excuse me. What's the lie? What was the lie in there?
The lie is
that she did something wrong.
No. They reported
she did something wrong.
facts. You just don't think it's wrong. There's no lies in there. It was an accurate piece. You guys admitted it.
Well, even it's the implication
That's
of
fine, but
wrongdoing
that's fine. But that's
that
different from what Nicole said.
that's
Nicole
essentially
saying
what
it was a lie.
wait a minute, Phil. That's essentially what the story was trying to imply. The story was trying to imply by the nature of its headline and the way that it was it was set up that Iris had done something that was wrong. And even though you had Steve Gooden, who's a candidate for city council and who is an attorney, who he probably said in that piece about 4 or 5 times that there was nothing that Iris did that was illegal.
Well, but he has some political reasons. He has political reasons running for office.
It was just the fact
he's trying to get votes too.
Say again?
I don't consider him an impartial expert, unlike the guy they did.
Well, I'm not saying he's an impartial expert. I'm just going off of who the I-team chose to quote in their story.
Yeah,
so apparently the I-team thought Steve Gooden was a valuable enough person who had some expertise.
The other guy
they quoted him as much as they did anybody. They quoted him as much as anybody in the story.
Do you agree the other guy was more impartial?
So then again, Phil, if you're saying that they're quoting people who don't know what they're talking about or who aren't experts, then once again that adds question to the reporting.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
you just said who is Steve Gooden? He's no authority. He's no expert.
I know Steve Gooden. He's a good man. All I'm saying is he was not unbiased. He's not lying. He was unbiased. The other guy, as far as I could tell, who was an ethics expert, whatever, with the federal government, clearly said it didn't pass the smell test. And I don't see where that guy has any axe to grind in this.
He doesn't pass the smell test.
Well, I mean,
he doesn't.
What Mac say?
Yeah.
Because
come on, man.
Let's hear from Mac.
So, yeah, it's hard to get stuff in with you guys.
That's because these guys always interrupt. That's why, Mac.
No, it's fascinating. I'm very much enjoying it. One of the things is that, look, patronage has, if you go and you dig under the surface to, almost any politician, you can go up to the Supreme Court. You could go to certainly the presidential level, the congressional level, the city council level, and you start asking, who's your brother work for? Who's your sister work for? Who's your wife work for? People are leveraging their connections. Now, that said, I think we can all sort of understand the difficulty of, like, if any of us in the roles that we play hired a child to work for us, that we would recognize, that could look a little bit like patronage. It could look a little bit unfair. It could, I can't it's hard to fire my son. It'd be hard to cut their salary. It'd be hard to do $1 million. Maybe I might inflate their salary, right? People would question, are you overpaying for what you're getting? So that you could see that there'd be questions. And when there's public money involved, it's a particularly high bar. Now, she didn't do anything illegal, certainly, but it's not good judgment. I mean, just to give you an example, I hired my daughter because I needed somebody to take photographs for $100 at an event. And I was like, it's not illegal, it's not unethical, but I know she can take pictures. I know she's a good photographer. I went to my dean and I said, hey, is this okay? I want to make sure before I do it, because I don't want to make it look like she's solving a problem for me. She's going to do a good job. I think these are the judgment involves, I should probably be open about this and clear about it, because if people find out about it, they might question it. And again, we could say it's deserved. We could say he might be doing a great job. If she had talked about that with the city, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I think it's a bad judgment call. It's not illegal, but probably better judgment.
Let me say this, Gesco, because I do want to add some of this context to this. And again, this is about sort of the thoroughness of the reporting and making sure all of the information is out there. Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Iris is her own company. Let's just say this, and she runs her company, and it's a family business, and her children work for her as a part of the family business. And as a part of the family business, we get this contract with the city, and in that, my kids who are a part of my business benefit from that. That's not untoward. That's not illegal. That's that my family, I happen to run a family business, and my family is a part of that business. And so I hire them and make them a part of it. It's not like her son, she flew her son in from someplace else and hired him and gave him a special treatment. If you know anything about Iris and her family and the other company that they run, Roadshow Awards, it's a family business. Everything Iris kind of does is sort of kind of family oriented. That's one thing. So those are facts and context that often doesn't get reported in these types of stories. And that's where I say, are you interested in the truth? Or are you interested in trying to paint a narrative when you're putting this information out there? The other thing that I know, because I've had these conversations with Iris many times, when the government square situation was happening, Iris was pleading with people to come down and help manage these kids down at Government Square. And I won't say that nobody showed up. There were people who came up, but it wasn't an easy pull getting people to come down and do that work. And part of the disingenuousness that I have with the critics is Todd Zinzer and Steve Gooden and anybody else who's complaining about what Iris spent. They or nobody in their circle sure as hell wasn't going down there to wrangle them black kids down at Government Square. So this notion to say that money could have gone to somebody else, ain't none of their kids coming down there to help. Ain't none of them or the people or their friends or the people that they know coming down to Government Square to wrangle those black children who were down there who needed mentors and people to come down there. Nobody that looks like any of the critics who are complaining about how much Iris get was going to get up off of their butt for 1 minute and go down there and help out. So spare me the fake outrage that there were so many other people who could have came down there and got that money, because they wouldn't have came down there for $6,000, let alone $4,500. And you know,
and he's not lying. I want to piggyback on that.
Let me get in. I haven't gotten in yet on this topic. Hold on, Gesco. I haven't gotten in on this topic. So I blame Iris Rowley. Y'all ain't gonna like it, but I blame Iris Rowley. She is dead wrong. And y'all playing games, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep it straight. She dead wrong. How dare this black woman solve a problem that nobody else wanted to stand up and deal with? How dare she do that? How dare she take city dollars and deal with a
What about her
problem?
son? Are you saying she couldn't get anybody else?
Wait. How dare she? The nerve of this woman to try to deal with and successfully deal with the issue that nobody else was man or woman enough to deal with. And how dare she use tax dollars to do it? She is
How do you know there was nobody else
Clearly,
who would want that?
Let me finish. I'm gonna land real quick. To get back to the scrum because I'm really enjoying it. I appreciate it.
$350,000, only her.
Hold on.
How dare this dark-skinned black woman use people that she can trust, who she knew that she could count on in a very tense situation, like her family member, like her son, and deal with a situation that nobody stood up to deal with. Nobody came up with any ideas. My biggest problem with the I team is that they buried the lead. The real lead story, the real headline is we're not talking about Government Square anymore. She solved the problem. She dealt with it successfully. She dealt with it successfully. She dealt with it peacefully. She didn't need the National Guard. She didn't need the Ohio State Police. She got with like-minded individuals in the community that she can trust, like her son. Whatever his background was, it worked. And she dealt with the situation. Nobody's talking about it anymore. That should be the headline. I-Team should be investigating and asking her what tactics did she use so we can write it down and redeploy them in other situations. That's what they should be doing instead of this fake news hit piece, which, believe me, I understand that media, they got to sell clicks. This will sell clicks. It's got a lot of sizzle to it. It's got Iris Rowley. There's already an appetite for this kind of stuff. So I get it from a media standpoint, but from a public standpoint, how dare she solve a problem that nobody else could deal with and use our text dollars to do it.
White supremacy can only exist if they make white people believe that they're not as long as they're better than black people, they'll be fine. If they can say, oh man, if they can keep pocket watching, for instance, if they can say Iris Rowley pays her son, who is, they don't care if he's qualified or not. And being a black business owner, you have to jump through so many hoops. And I'll say this, when my son, because I work for my son purposely. And when we went to go open the barbershop, I said, I want my son to own this barbershop. The people, they say, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I said, I want to hold my son accountable. And so I work for my son. He doesn't work for me because I don't want the implications of them saying, oh, you gave your son something. You gave your son something. I put his name on the ownership thing. So what we're saying, Iris, what I would do if I were you, if I would go back and I would get a 501c3 in your family's name, and then whenever you're going to distribute the things, give the money to the 501c3. But you should. That's what I'm talking about. Black people should not have to go through these hoops. You should not have to go through these hoops to try to make a change in your community. Because like Nathan said, who else would have done this? And whatever she had to do. And my final thing, and I'll land. Whenever I'm dealing with white Republicans, they think that they're going to go in here and do some kind of philanthropy work. They think they can go in their suits and their hoity-toityness and try to make a difference in the community. And then you see the proof in the pudding when someone comes in there like Iris Rowley and she brings her family and 56% decrease. That's over half. And then you're going to talk about how the methods that she's doing it by paying one of her family members. Shame on you and whoever's doing it.
I think Nathan raises a good point about the quality of the story. Look, and I've said this many times, that I am a critic of the media industry in general, because there are a lot of things that I see sometimes that happen that are the result, I think, of, I'll just say, incomplete or not thorough reporting. I think this was certainly the case of that. And again, I'm not going to say looking at contracts that the city gives is not good, is not good journalism, but to single out a particular individual and to imply charges of nepotism without looking at, again.
Well, it was nepotism. There's no doubt.
Wait a minute, Phil. You are asking something. You are asking, and those who are critics are asking something of Iris that probably no other contractor that the city of Cincinnati does, where they have to report the subcontractors or the people who work for them to the city. That's what you're asking Iris to do. You're asking her to lay bare everything about her operations to the city in order to get that contract. Fine, if you want to take that position. But how many other contractors with the city are you asking that of? Or are you simply asking it of Iris because you don't like her, or because you don't like that a black woman is getting paid this amount of money to deal with whatever your own personal prejudices or biases or issues are? That's something you got to search your soul for. Because if you aren't asking for the same types of things from every contractor that does business with the city, then why are you demanding it of Iris Rowley? Answer that question, Phil.
I will answer it. I think actually Max said it better than I did. Yeah, it's not illegal, but it was poor judgment. And I would say no one.
That doesn't answer my question. Why are we asking it of every contractor?
Let me finish. I believe what I know of all of you on this show, who appear to me to be very honest people who recognize the fact that it's not just what is improper, it's also the appearance. I would bet, let's take you, Kevin, I would bet that if you got some public money to do something and you decided to hire a relative or something like that, I, knowing you, would bet, as Max said, that you would at least have notified them just to avoid any appearance of impropriety.
You think they didn't? You think that the city doesn't? Well, first of all, I would say this, and I don't know this to be a fact. Iris is in the chat; she can answer this. But I would be hard pressed to think. It's not like Iris is a Fortune 500 company where she's got 1 million people working for her, right? So I find it strains credibility for me to believe that the city wouldn't have some general knowledge of what Iris was doing and how she was running her operation down at Government Square. It's not like it was a huge operation. I'm pretty sure that the city manager and probably some other people at the city knew exactly what Iris was doing. So this notion that Iris was doing something covert that people at the city had no clue about, again, this is the presumptions that you get through bad reporting, through not asking enough questions, through being eager to try to throw somebody under the bus or get a quick hit story instead of asking all of the questions.
Why didn't she comment on the story? I noticed in the story they said
she doesn't have to. If I don't do
it's not.
if I don't do anything wrong, I don't have to answer. If I'm not in the wrong,
she probably didn't want to dignify it.
It's like a fly. Get off me. It's like a shoe fly. Get off me, fly. It's like people are doing dark things all the time.
Doesn't have to testify. They don't have to testify in court. The burden is on you to prove that I did something wrong. And all of those who looked at it have had to admit she didn't do anything wrong. So
who are all those? Who are all those?
All those that won't see.
I mean, the people that are quoted in the article itself.
No, it was just the opposite. The guy who was quoted, Zinzer, said it was something wrong. That was the whole point.
That's his opinion.
Where do you get this? All the people. Did you take a poll?
So look, this is what it actually says in the article. This is quoted from a spokesperson from the city, Molly Lair. I don't know how you missed this, but it says the city does not conduct background checks for employees of any firm we contract with.
And Steve Gooden's point is they should have. He blamed the city because they should have had that in place.
Why?
Phil wants a job.
Why?
No, I'm not saying that you can't hire, but you need to disclose. That's what they should have had in place.
Why?
Because to prevent city money to going to people because they are a relative and not necessarily because they are qualified.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
The point is whether
I don't have a problem with friends or family as long as you get the results. Phil, let me ask you a question. Did Iris and whoever was on her team, did they deliver the results that the city was looking for?
I don't know the answer to that. You say they 56%. Do, maybe so.
You don't know the answer to that.
It's 56%.
Well, let me answer for you. The answer is yes, Phil, they did. They delivered.
And get results doesn't mean it's the right thing.
Hey. Let me exactly.
So now we're comparing her son to the mafia.
The fact that even if they did quote get results doesn't mean ethics don't mean something.
I am personally offended, Phil. I want to put that on the record.
Go ahead,
the city also said this in conclusion. This is from the Molly Lair city representative. Rowley did not violate her contract or ethics laws because those rules only apply to public officials and not city contractors.
Nobody disagrees with that.
Okay, so you keep throwing out ethics.
I talk about appearance or judgment. I'm talking about her judgment.
Your opinion,
appearance of impropriety.
Has one.
That's subjective. That's subjective.
Yeah, I agree.
According to the city,
it is.
The people
That's why
matter,
I have a different opinion than some of you.
Or unethical.
Yeah, but TNT's talking about what the city said. Go ahead, TNT.
He could read it for himself. I mean, I don't know how you missed that part.
I didn't miss it. I agree with it. We all agree she didn't violate any laws.
You just mulled over it because
Phil is trying to project. Phil, it comes across to me like you're trying to project that there was something wrong.
I believe
all of the facts suggest
judgment. She should have.
You can believe that, but the city,
how is it poor judgment?
But the city
itself,
but the city itself decided that there was nothing that you're wrong about that. You can have your opinion, but if the city says that she did nothing wrong, and the city,
but I believe that
if the city says that she did nothing wrong, Phil. And if the city are the people that dispense the contract, and the city are the people that actually make the decisions, you can have your opinion. But if the city, the people that actually dispense the contracts and give out the money and set the rules, if they said that nothing is wrong, you can have your opinion.
Phil, let me ask you this question. How is it bad judgment if my son works for me in my business and I get a contract and my son who already works for me benefits from that contract? How is that bad judgment? And let me give you an example. I am in business with my cousin, right? And so if we were to get a contract similarly to this with the business that we have, and I'm getting paid from my cousin who's the president of the company, and I work with him as a contractor in this company that we're on, and I get paid through him. To somebody else, that might look like nepotism, but that is the way his business is set up, and it's a family business. Is that poor judgment, or is that just my business?
Is it public money?
This is the part where, Phil, you got to admit, you and several other people who have placed a target on Iris because you don't like her.
I don't even know. I've never met her.
This is about. This is not about fairness. This is not about fair hiring practices. This is about people who do not like this woman, who are on a mission to destroy her and get her out of city government. That is what this is, plain and simple.
Can I add a?
Because if it were really about what you suggested, Phil, then I'm all for the city coming up with a blanket policy that applies to every contractor that says, if we find out you got anybody that you related to working with you on a job site or anything related, we're going to cancel your contract.
No, you just got to
don't make no sense.
Language. If that's what people are asking,
you don't have to
suggesting. That's what you're saying. That it's
clearly you don't have to suggest.
And people like Todd Zinser are saying that the city is at fault for not having this language in their contract. That's what Zinser said. You just said it. So if this is what you're saying, I'm with that. Let's make sure, let's examine every contract that the city has got, and let's start pulling money, because I guarantee you that just about every contract that the city have, you got this going on with it. But because it's Iris, because there's race involved, and because there are bad actors who are behind this is why we're talking about it. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's at.
I agree with Kevin here, and I think it is my personal opinion is that you'd be a little bit more conservative in terms of making sure that people know what's going on, and if the city already knew that her son was working there, that changes things. And probably would have warranted somebody making that point to the I team so that information was out there, and that would make this a lot less of an issue for many people. But I do agree this is probably a political hit, right? Like, and if you dig around and you start to look at every city contract, you're going to find a lot of relatives out there, and this is endemic to government, period. It's also what people don't like about government, right? It's when people see their money flowing out the door, and they're like, "Hey, how many of the politicians' relatives are on the payroll, and who's getting overpaid? How many people's children are running websites out there and getting paid $20,000 or $30,000 a year to do minimal work?" Like, that sort of stuff happens all the time. People don't like it. This resembles that to them, made fairly or unfairly. And I think when you take public money, you're sort of opening yourself up to public scrutiny. And the public isn't always fair with how it looks at these things. What people are going to, when they look at this, it looks shady to them. It might not be. It might be perfectly on the up and up, but it looks like all this other stuff that they suspect is happening, which is why it has more of an impact. But it's probably a political hit, no doubt about that.
It's not might be on the up and up. It most certainly is on the up and up. And see, that's where media and good actors have to come in, because you're absolutely right. I agree to a lot of what you said, Mac. You're absolutely right. To the public is going to look a certain way. And that's why good media is supposed to explain it, so that people understand. Because you're right, a lot of people look at that and they're like, "Oh, these politicians." Number one, she's not a politician; she's a private contractor. It's a whole different thing. And I agree with Kevin's point. If you take out this situation, let's say she's a painter and her son works as her apprentice, we wouldn't have a problem with it. But because of the nature of the work, I think it is. People don't think like maybe it was real work. Maybe it's something like, maybe it's the amount of the dollar amount. People are like looking at that, and to Gesco's point, just sort of like looking at her pockets. But this goes on all the time. Like Kevin said, I'm sure most of these independent contractors have a friend or a relative who works with their business. And if they get a contract with the city, they're going to put some of that money in their pocket because that's who they're already working with. Those are the people that they trust. Most people hire people that they know, friends, relatives, across the spectrum. But when it's Iris, it seems like now there's a double standard and people forget.
I like what Brother Matt Turner just said. Let's be honest, white folks don't mind if it's one of them. And that's the clear, honest truth, because we just gave you a perfect example of real corruption in a illegal and unethical situation. And there was no uproar. You even had a state senator ring the alarm like, hey, this is what happened. Check out the investigation by City Beat. And I even looked to see what Channel 9, WCPO, how they reported it. And they reported it in a slant in protection of the prosecutor, who now so happens to be a justice of the state appointed by DeWine, Governor DeWine. I mean, just all of that, the hypocrisy and how they're able to just not only use their positions of power to bring people in and to get people paid and everything, but they elevate and they keep that circle going and nobody bats an eye. But you want to go after this Black woman, you know what I'm saying, who's actually providing results for a problem that we were having in our city. All that is overshadowed by someone who wants to insert some issue that is a non-issue. It's a non-issue.
Yeah, let me just say this, and I won't, and I know what TNT meant. I won't put this on. I think Phil's overarching. Like I want to not completely remove the race component, but not lay as much on it, because I do think that there are people who are critical of government spending and how they spend money, who do look at this sort of nepotism issue regardless of race. And some of the critics, I know Zinzer has written a bunch of pieces for the Inquirer, and he's a former inspector general, and so he's an audit guy, and he's always looking at numbers, and he's always super critical of the city in different things, and it's not necessarily always along the lines of race. So I while I do think race plays a bit in some of the reaction to it, I do think that there are cases where there are people who take a critical look at how the city is using money, and it's just across the board that has nothing to do with it. But the point that I was going to make about Phil, my friend Phil, is he would much rather take that money that they gave to Iris and spend it on police officers who would go down to Government Square and arrest those young people.
Yeah.
Rather than invest that money in community members who might actually be able to go down there, talk to those youth, actually listen to the issues that they're going through, and figure out a way to keep them out of trouble and out of jail. That's a better use of that $300,000 or whatever the number was that Phil put out about Iris. He would feel much more comfortable using that money to hire more police who are not going to use the discernment, who are not going to even try to make an attempt to figure out what's going on with these kids down in Government Square, but just arrest them all and take them to jail. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people who think like that, who would much rather see the money that Iris Rowley is getting going to locking those kids up down at Government Square rather than giving them alternatives. And Phil would even have to acknowledge himself. He'd feel 100% better if the money was spent that way, wouldn't you, Phil?
Well,
I don't know. I don't. To answer your question, I don't know for sure that how effective, successful she has been at reducing crime. I'm not disagreeing with that.
TNT just ran the numbers.
56%. They don't care. Remember when
get another award for her efforts, another national award for her.
The bigger issue, as I said before, is not the bigger issue is. And we can go over this and over this. The bigger issue is, I think she should have disclosed it to the city, and there would be no report, no nothing here. I think
then you found something else.
I think there is. You guys can say all you want about me and how awful I am, but I still would say
I don't think you're awful.
I would still say there is an appearance of impropriety or an appearance of bad judgment, and I stick by that point.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have your opinion, but even if she had, and we don't know that she didn't disclose it, I mean, I agree with Kevin. It just makes sense to me.
I certainly think they should have asked that question.
I'm sure that there are people in the city who knew. Let me finish, Phil. I'm sure there are people in the city who worked around the city who knew who was down there. They knew what was going on. I don't think it was any, the implication that she was kind of hiding is troubling to me. I don't believe that at all. But, even if she had written a letter formally to the city manager, people would still make a big deal about it. They still say the city shouldn't have done it. It doesn't matter how she did it or what way she chose it. It's because of who she is and the fact that there's already an appetite in this city for bad press about her. It wouldn't have made a difference, in my opinion, one way or the other.
And I don't even think it's simply about Iris Rowley. I mean, it is kind of like the pedestal to really get to who they want, which is the city manager. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
all of this
Yes.
is like a political, target on them, but that's just by way of using Iris just to get to who they really want to get to. Like let's just keep it a buck 100.
But the city manager can't go anywhere unless
Yeah.
the mayor changes, correct? Y'all have a mayor council government, right? It's a mayor.
I mean, she could go somewhere while he's here. He could change her out. He could
But
decide.
the mayor
that,
decides that, correct? There's no political.
City council, I think.
City council could vote her out, but I think you'd have to. I think there's a certain number that I can't remember. Is it a simple majority that would? Because we went through this with Harry Black, right? When him and Cranley weren't getting along. I think the council was the ones who eventually voted on the separation package, right? I think that was a council decision, not a, because if John Cranley could have just got rid of Harry Black, he would have absolutely fired him on the spot. So I don't think the mayor has blanket ability to get rid of the city manager.
And did you see the comment by Iris? She said, "How about I had to reimburse folks?" I mean, if she had to come out of the pocket first, and they had to give her money, and she had to that's even more reason why the amount of money isn't enough. If she's having to operate on her own budget, and then she has to receive money, and we know how tough and difficult it is to receive money from government. It's a slow grinding process. So if she's funneling out, and then she has to reimburse herself and reimburse other people, I mean, that shouldn't be. Who can put a price tag on the amount of interest that she could have gained on her own, using her own money? So this is a grab for white people, just to look at somebody who's powerful, who's outspoken, who speaks power to our truth, to their weakness, and then they want to find a way to win an election that is unwinnable. Just stop.
Yeah.
Let me play a quick play. Can I play a clip for you real quick? This is from one of our crew members who's not here with us,
Curse
Brother
Breakers,
Andre Ewing.
300.
Check him out.
Make it make. What's up, family? Once again, it's Brother Dre with Curse Breakers 300. Make it make sense Mondays. I don't speak for no agency, no police agency, no organization. It's Brother Dre with Curse Breakers 300. Let me go ahead and address the Iris Rowley issue with the payment that's going to her son. I don't care. You heard me. I said it. I don't care. Because let me break this down to you. She's doing exactly what mass police officers have been doing for years. Getting their family members paid, going straight to the top to get information or get payment or get ahead of the line when some of them say they didn't earn it. I ain't mad at you, Sister Rowley. Get your son paid. If he got a felony tag on him, a criminal history, we all know trying to get a job out here ain't no joke. So if your mom is in a position to hook you up, get hooked up.
That's Brother Dre right there. So, and we know, him and Iris have gone at it on the show before. So that's the last word. If Dre say get your money and it ain't no problem, then get your money. It ain't no problem.
Well done, Nathan. Well done. What an olive branch. That was awesome, man.
Absolutely. You see me working on multiple levels always. But let me move on here. I want to get a couple more things in before we roll out of here. There's been this conversation going on about, is college worth it? Is college worth it? And it seems as if there's at least one of the political parties, see a lot of people and a lot of conservative sort of like social media folks who are making the argument that college just isn't worth it. I want to play just a quick clip from Ben Shapiro, if I can pull it up fast enough here, which I can't. So I'll just say it. But, is college worth it? I'm sure you've heard those debates before. The price of college is going up. It's more and more difficult to get a college degree. You got a lot of college debt. And then on top of it, you got a lot of college graduates right now who are struggling to find jobs. So I bring the question to the crew. Is college worth it in the new America in 2025, in your opinion?
Well, I want to first of all declare my conflict of interest on this question. Lead by example here. But, yes and no, right? I think what I've seen, hundreds, if not thousands of students over the course of my career is the students who put the time in and who do what they're supposed to do. Absolutely. Absolutely, that's transformative. It's, I know from my own perspective, it's transformative. Now, I would also say, it helped me go from somebody who was lower middle class to upper middle class, I guess. That's advancement. I feel, I'm able to have a really nice career. I'm able, because of the education I got, it opened doors for me. I see that for my students as well. As a first gen student, I think it's particularly important. And I think that it isn't for everybody. And, one of the challenges I think is that we see that people who have college degrees, generally make more money than people who don't. And so we think, therefore, that a college degree is the answer. And I think that the reality is it's not just a college degree. It's the work that you put in. It's your commitment to learning skills. If you do those things while you're in college, you will do well, and that's true in non-STEM fields as well as STEM fields. So I see it as being definitely worth it. I also think that the amount of money that people are paying for college is obscene, and we've got to figure out how to bring the cost of college down, and that's a difficult thing. I work for a university that costs a lot of money, and how do we control costs? Rising costs that's going to be a critical question for colleges. It's going to be a critical question for parents and children and our future students as well.
I agree with everything that Mac just said there.
Oh, we just lost Kevin.
I'll jump in. I'll jump in until he
Yeah,
gets off there.
go ahead.
I think that college is extremely important. I went to Barber College when I was in first, and as a non-traditional student, then I went back to undergrad at Northern Kentucky University, where I studied TV, radio, broadcast communication. And I will say, and I dressed up in characters and was able to enjoy WNTV and do skits and learn how to edit in real time, like tape to tape. So I'd have to have something render for full time. So and I learned interpersonal communication. And there's things that I don't think that college might not be for everything, but if you personally go and extrapolate the things that you can get, like I agree with what Max says. If it wasn't for my college education, I wouldn't feel confident enough to be in character right now, dressing up in front of people for people to see. And it's like, 'cause I've been comfortable doing this since I've been in college. Since like me and my buddies would get together and go to TV class and make up stuff and do exactly what we're doing right now. So the comfortability of the things that you get in college from repetition, the follow through. Completing a college course is a very difficult thing. I mean, it pushes you to a limit to be for accountability. So there would come to a point to where I wouldn't have a serious conversation with someone unless they had a 400 level class. I would ask them that when we start digging into. I'd ask them a question. I'd be like, "So, what is your family life like? Did you have your parents? Did you have both your mom and your dad? How was your relationship with them?" And then when we get down to the education, I'd be like, "So, have you completed a 400 level class where you had to do a research paper, so I could understand their level of critical thinking?" So, I believe that college is worth it, and you can't put a price tag on it, because if you go, I don't think you can put a price tag on getting a college education if you extrapolate the things and you apply those to your career moving forward.
Yeah. My bad. My computer restarted on me in the middle of what I was saying. I mean, look, here's what I'll say. First, college isn't for everybody. And I think that, I don't know if they still have counselors, guidance counselors, and things like that in high schools anymore, if that is a thing of the past. But I think one of the things that definitely needs to happen as it pertains to students is that if they are going to choose college, that they go into it with their eyes wide open. The cost, the debt, the likelihood of what they're majoring in, how that college degree is going to translate into your ability to get a job. Realistically, how long is it going to take you to pay off these exorbitant student loans that, unless your parents are independently wealthy, you're going to have to endure? So I think, kids need to go into college with their eyes wide open, and really, I'm not going to say deter them from certain majors, but look, there's no sense in a kid spending, $100,000 on, a particular type of, and I say this as somebody who went to a liberal arts college. But I know a lot of my friends who paid a lot of money for their college degree to major in things that they aren't even working in right now because there is no work, or there are no jobs available in what they majored in. And so I think this has to be, if we're talking about, is college worth it in terms of, am I going to be able to make a strong financial living? Because let's face it, that's the reason why you go to college, is to improve your prospects of making money and being a professional that can support and live with themselves. And I see far too many college students who dump tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars on a college education, and they get out and they're working a job where they're making $30,000 a year. And that to me says no. If I'm that student, college sure wasn't worth it, for me, because I'm not seeing the product of that. So I definitely agree with Mac. We got to get these college tuitions down. I think they're way out of control. I think we got to address the student loan situation in this country, because you know I probably worked the first 7 years that I graduated from college. I spent paying off, my student loans from college, and it was really hard to get ahead, because of the amount that I was having to pay like monthly on those student loans. There were a lot of things that I couldn't afford to do, as a young person starting out in their career, not making a lot of money and being ridden with a lot of student debt. So yeah, I think those are the calculations that you have to make. And there are lots of trades out there that don't require a college education that pay, in many instances, as much or more money than you get with a degree. So I think those are the types of conversations that parents, counselors, other people should be having with kids. So if you do choose college, you go into it with your eyes wide open.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say in 2025, I don't think so. So many things are changing. The economy, the cost of living, it's we're too far behind economically, and so to take on college, and a lot of these industries are becoming obsolete. I do have a degree in both legal studies and paralegal studies, and I'm not doing either one of them. I started my own business, but even after I got my degree, I went into the uh, uh, industry with the unions, and from there, that paid just as much as if I was a paralegal. So I kind of got redirected from my path, but at the same time, um, where I am now is what was meant for me. But I'm settled with debt, and so it's just like, and now looking at AI and how they're saying in the next couple of years, there's going to even be more industries that will become obsolete, and a disruption. Unless you're like someone like my oldest daughter, she graduated Tuskegee University 1 year early with no debt. She actually wrote a book, small plug, how to graduate college without debt free. Tiana McQuarrie. You can look it up on Amazon. But she did the work from high school, even before then, to get those uh, extra credit college courses credits, and to be able to pay down her debt while she was in school, and just a whole lot of, I won't give all the little details of what she did. But if you're not doing that, you become enslaved to your debt coming out of college. And for a lot of people, whatever they're looking for, less in certain industries, you're just going to be on this rat race of trying to keep up with everything and everybody, trying to become a homeowner. That's one of the things for my daughter right now that she's trying to do, and it's so hard for her to find a find a find housing because it's just so astronomical right now. So I just think in reality, if we're talking about 2025, like, yeah, a lot of people have their degrees, and unless you're getting like a doctorate or a master's and majoring that way, some of these other fields, you're probably going to be underpaid, saddled in debt, won't be able to get the American dream of on being a homeowner anytime soon, especially with what we got going on in our economy right now, where the cost of everything is going to increase even more. And I'll say one other thing with my daughter, who she got her degree in biology to be a orthodontist, and maybe that industry, because the dental hygienists, I just learned in Ohio and maybe in other states, are low. Like that's part of the reason why it's taken 6 months to just get an appointment, because there isn't a lot of individuals as a dental hygienist. And so that may still be a viable pathway, but you got to really do the research and study to see, what is AI proof, and actually, what is still going to be here 5-10 years down the line, because a lot of these industries will not be here, and you're wasting your time, and you're going to be saddled with debt.
Phil, you want to jump in? I'll go after you.
When I ever talk to kids who are like about to go to college or at that age, what I always tell them is, in this day and age, given what college costs, you cannot afford to study liberal arts. You need to study something that's going to make you money, like finance or engineering. And again, when I went to college, it was a lot cheaper, but I majored in political science. Looking back, I could have got just as much by reading the New York Times every day as studying political science. But in those days, it didn't cost anything like it does now. My kids are both in college, and even though one is studying film and the other is studying music, I have said to them, don't depend on those studies to pay for your life, your living. And I think I've convinced them to, after they're done, to get an MBA, because to me, that's something that is going to make you money. I just don't think in this day and age people can afford to just study liberal arts.
All excellent points. Great points. A lot to think about. I can agree with a lot of what everybody said. And I'm not Ti, but TNT brought up Ti. TNT brought up AI. I mixed them up there. There's a word for when you mix those words up like that. But anyway, yeah, AI is definitely a concern. You should be asking yourself, is what I want to do going to be AI proof for sure? And the cost is crazy. I do disagree with Phil. I got a poli-sci degree, and I couldn't have gotten that from the New York Times, just in terms of how to critically thinking globally, and then just the history of it.
But the main point was,
in general,
the main point was, at least with me, and I think with most, it doesn't make you any money.
Well, let me speak to that. It depends on what you do with it. So in general, taking in everything that everybody said, I think everybody hit on some points I agree with. So in general, what I would say is, yes, college is worth it, provided that they consider a lot of the things that everybody brought up. But for me, college is like the show Big Brother. Any Big Brother reality show fans on here? Anybody watch Big Brother? A little bit. Yeah, shout out to Ashley. Sister just won the $750,000. That's always good to see. But to me, college is like the reality show Big Brother, in terms of I break it down in two ways. You got the social game, and then you have, at least in college, you got the academic game. The academic game is you want to keep the GPA up as high as possible. You want to make yourself eligible for as many scholarships as possible, and you want to make sure you get your degree or your advanced degrees. And I would say, in my opinion, that that's 25% of what college is. 75% of college is the social game. So what I would tell people is, if you want to get the best out of the college experience, you got to get the heck out of the dorm room. You got to get out and meet people. That's where you're going to get the most out of college, not just your degree. It's the people that you meet. You're in college, at least until recently, with some of the moves of the current administration, and you're going to meet people from all over the world. These are future leaders, and connections and friendships and relationships, we already know that's what opens doors. And so, if you're going to go to college, you should be joining sororities, fraternities, groups, being as social as possible, getting to know your instructors, getting to know anybody you can from as many places around the world that you can, because these are the people that are going to help you open doors. These are the people that's going to call you when there's an opening in their job or their corporation. These are the people that when they start startups, they might call you because they know you from college. These are the people that's going to help you make money. It's not just as a degree, it's the social game. And I think too many people don't realize they want to just, go to class and sit in the dorm room. You missing out. You got to get out there, meet people, introduce yourself, be a part of as many groups as possible, as much diversity as possible, and make connections, because that's what's going to pay you, not just a degree, no matter what your degree is. So you could get a liberal arts degree, but you got an incredible social game, and you made connections from all over the world, future leaders, and they open doors for you. I've seen it happen, and that's the way I would approach college in 2025. Oh, we lost Kevin? Okay, he's back.
I know.
So is college worth it? Yeah, if you're going to play a good social game and you're going to take into consideration everything the crew members said about AI and the cost, and, like Phil said, thinking about what degree is going to make you money. But the social game is everything. That's everything.
I want to mention a story. The New York Times has a podcast called The Daily, and they did one yesterday. Kind of surprised me, and that it was all, some point in the past, the Silicon Valley people were telling college students, study computer programming. This is where the money and the jobs are. And this whole thing explained that the money and the jobs are no longer there. And that if you want to, and they had interviews with people that kind of felt really kind of screwed over about this. And they did say now they're saying study AI, which you probably should. But I just thought it was kind of interesting how quickly that changed.
But before we go, are we going to talk about the love triangle? The city council, the city council, I saw it on the thing.
Oh, you mean Rosemary? Yeah, you want to talk? Let's get into it. Yeah, Rosemary. And man, this story just breaks my heart. It really does, because I don't care really who you vote for, Democrat, Republican, MAGA, whatever. I mean, people are people, humans. I got empathy. But Rosemary's from Rosemary's Baby, and I have a lot of respect for what she's doing, her nonprofit. I don't know if she's still incarcerated. I was watching Lincoln Ware's show, and I think he said something about she didn't get a bond. Whatever the case is, I hope she gets out as soon as possible. Apparently, she had some kind of domestic dispute. Ankle monitor. Okay, thank you for that. That seems to be.
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know her background,
I think
but
that might be it. Somebody check that, because I don't want to put bad information out. But I thought that's what I heard.
Apparently, she had a domestic dispute with Kevin Farmer, who's a black male running as a Republican for city council. Apparently, allegedly, a gun was drawn by her on him. Apparently, 2 months ago, he was arrested for domestic violence against her. There was a video I seen on Facebook, and it's just more drama. It's just bad. I feel for both of them. I hope they both come out of it with no long-term permanent issues whatsoever. But since you wanted to talk about it, Gesco, there it is. I set it up.
All right. Well,
what's your take?
I'm gonna go in character and Gesco Whyte character for about a minute, and when I say scene, I'll be done. So Phil, I'm gonna need you to stay off, because if you irritate Gesco, I'm gonna let him go on you.
Hey, listen, I am very intimidated by Gesco, so I promise I'll just be kind of my usual quiet self.
Gesco, the preference is I'll just get to it. What we see here in the white community, as it be, is a coon fight. You see two blacks in the Republican Party who are used, propped up in the Republican. They didn't even they propped themselves up in the Republican Party. And then they get the Republicans looking at them and they say, "Look at the two blacks fight each other. They tore each other down. He had no chance, and now she has no chance because he invoked it." And this is what makes me mad about this whole situation. I'm a true black elected official Republican who takes my Republicanism very serious. I have to walk a very, very thin line on my Republicanism because I don't want to do anything that's going to be like, look at that, look at him, look, see, I told you. So whenever these people are up there with these Viveks and they're over here with these Corey Bowmans and they're walking alongside them dudes, that's exactly what they wanted to see you do. They wanted to see you mess up. So that's so they can say, this is why we don't put blacks in power. So I take it real offensive of the nature and the behavior that Mr. Farmer's having. And when I see him get on the internet and he starts talking all this stuff like he's the victim, come on, man. I want to see his toxicology report. I want to know if he's been drinking. I want to know if he's on drugs. I want to know all these things before. And he's talking about how black women are the fall of all black men, blaming black women. To me, and I've heard this dance. It's because Phil brought this about personality disorders. This is the narcissistic, borderline personality disorder dance that they're going back and forth with each other, and they need to cut it out, especially if they're going to be doing it as elected officials in the Republican Party. Because, like I say, I take that stuff extremely serious. When I'm around I take it so serious. I'm in a Trump outfit on a conservative show with confidence.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Are you referring to this show?
I say conservative show. This a non-conservative show. I'm in this.
I was going to say I wouldn't have characterized my fine colleagues exactly that way.
I'm in this character on a non-conservative show, and none of my constituency, because of the way that I've walked and the way that I've been doing things for a long time, they won't even bat an eye at it. They'll be like, "Oh, that's terrorist." But whenever you get people, bad actors, hanging out with the VVEX and hanging out with Corey Bowman and going right along with them, stepping and fetching with them, the real cooning, and then you make it bad for black Republicans like me. I don't like it. I don't like it. Both of you, drop out. Go away. And leave the race to the people who really care about this. Because right now, you get on that boy's live and he's talking about, oh man, black women are the reason we need to start worrying about black women, how they treat black men and how they abuse black men. Boy, what I saw was you need to go see some therapist. You need to go sit in somebody's chair and talking about how your mother wounds and fixing your childhood wounds.
He said childhood trauma.
Was that? Were we hearing from Gesco? Or
I have to say this, Karis or Gesco.
Who's talking at any given
You're
time?
sounding a lot like my therapist right now. That's all I'll say.
Well, I mean, all I know is I've been through it. I've been through it. What they're going through, I done been through it. And you know what the root cause was? Alcohol and drugs and nefarious living. That's why I say I want to see the dude's toxicology.
Kevin's our root cause expert. I'll let him comment on that.
I want to see
the beard.
I want to see the toxicology report. I want them to take a toxicology report of this Kevin Farmer, and I want to see what's in his bloodstream. I want to see, because ain't no way, when I saw him do that live, he had a smile on his face. How are you going to have a smile on your face whenever you just got a woman put in jail? God, dog. You just had a black woman put in jail. You use the very same system. You use the very same system against her.
Yeah, the whole situation is horrible. Rosemary, she's won an award with the NAACP for her work, and she does good work in the community with her housing. She's been, an advocate for women and women who are having hard times and their babies, and protecting them. So it's just sad that she is entangled with someone like this. I was not aware, and definitely going through any type of domestic violence issues is really, really sad. I hate to hear that. Being a survivor of that type of thing myself, I hate for any black woman or any woman to deal with those type of things, and then to be in this situation, which seems very vindictive, very calculated. Reading the article on that, they said that they didn't even find a gun in there, and that sounds kind of to the character of this individual that would just,
where's the gun,
do something like this to muddy up her name and make her look bad. And I just hate the whole situation, because she doesn't deserve that. And just knowing we did a candidates forum last week or a week ago with the NAACP, and I used to be the first vice president with the local Cincinnati chapter, and I've been a part of the NAACP for over 13 years. And so we always do these candidates for him. And he was the one candidate that came in late and then
There it is.
very rude and abruptly just walked across the stage where everybody's. One of the candidates was answering the question, just all in the camera view. I mean, you can look for yourself on the Cincinnati NAACP page, but just like, and then just started, causing a scene for a moment. But of course, the president checked that in because we was in a room full of Prince Hall Masons, and they was not going to allow any craziness. But at the same time, it's just like he's a live wire, and so anything going on after this, I hope she's able to get out of it and walk away exonerated from what she's being charged with. But right now, I think it's just another vindictive political hit, on another Black woman.
Gesco asked a question real quick for the whole crew. Should they both drop out of their respective races? Is it over for them now? What do you think?
Yes. I think it's done, whether they drop out or not. Well, I think it was already done for Kevin. I mean, look, let's just face it. Kevin wasn't going to win. I don't believe Rosemary was going to win because she was going to be in a primary with two other guys. I don't believe she had the endorsement of the Republican Party. So she would have been lucky, I think, to make it out of a Republican primary to even challenge Greg Landsman. I don't even want to talk about the politics of this because the politics of it is not important because the politics, the reality, I mean, and anything can happen, but if we're just looking at things realistically, they both had an uphill battle to election and their prospects were not great. But in terms of life, Rosemary has definitely paid the bigger penalty in this situation because everything that she's been working towards and for is now at risk because of this. And this is not aimed at woman or man, but this speaks to the importance of who you surround yourself with, right? Who you choose to attach your life to matters. And I don't know anything about their relationship. Is not for me to judge, anybody's choice of partners. But the reality is who you hit your wagon to, they can either elevate you or they can take you down. And so you better darn well be sure you know who you're dealing with, especially if you have something to lose. And the Bible talks about being equally yoked, right? If I have more to lose than the person that I'm with, then I might have to check my choices. I mean, and that's not to sound elitist or high on anybody, and not saying that people are mismatched in that way can't make something work. But TNT just got done talking about what we know, what those know about Kevin and his past history and whatever challenges that he has. And one has to question based on, what Rosemary projected and what people sort of know about her. Like when I found out they were matched together, I must admit I didn't know it. And when I found out, I couldn't see it. I'm like, how does that happen? And that's no diss. They just didn't seem like two people based on what I knew of each of them that would somehow find their way to each other. And so I my heart goes out, to her, assuming, that the information or the charges against her are false. I think we got to wait and see, what comes out and how the details are there. There's still been no gun found or mention of the gun that Kevin claims she pulled on him. And if in fact there was no gun and this whole thing is fabricated and you ruin this woman's
we need
life
to get at him.
Over some nonsense. That's a special kind of illness right there. That you would do that.
That's why we need to follow up. I know we're getting close on, but I think we should make a very concerted effort to follow up on this because I'm taking this personal. But as a Black Republican, I'm telling you, this scratches all the spidey senses that I have being a black Republican, how I know how the Republican Party will use black people, especially they think they got one. They'll be like, oh yeah, this is our blackface. Here, go out and pass out, or go door to door, go canvas for us, go knock on doors so you can be a blackface for us and say, oh, we're not racist. And then they got somebody like Kevin, who they give a little bit of attention. He's probably one of those type of people that the Republican Party sent him an email back, and he's like, oh look, I'm in the club. They ain't never going to accept nobody like you. I know they don't even accept me.
I'm not going to even put it on the Republican.
No,
Look, everybody who calls themselves a Republican, everybody who calls themselves a Republican or a Democrat is not a party endorsed candidate. Gesco.
Exactly.
Just because you call yourself a Republican don't mean that the party wants you carrying their banner. Now they can't stop you
and they
from
can
being
definitely
a Republican.
give you some flyers to go knock on doors for them, and they can say, and then they can put you around people and get them to take some selfies with Vivek and Corey and be there in a couple rooms with them and thinking he gets some false sense of entitlement, and then he gets them, because I'm telling you, when I ran for city council in 2020, they put me and Ron Washington, who's current mayor of Covington right now, against each other, and they tried to pit us against each other. And what me and Ron did, and this is a true story, we went into some cafe, we looked at each other in the eye, and we said, black man to black man, we're not going to do that. We're not going to be involved in the coon fight. And that's exactly what the Republican Party did and is doing with Rosemary and Kevin. They got them together like, oh, look, we didn't even endorse or ask these people to come be Republicans, but they're caping for us anyway. And they're caping for us anyway. Now look at them. They're fighting with each other, and they're looking at they're like, see, that's why we don't want blacks in our party, because they don't know how to act when it comes to some power. I'm telling you, that's what's going on. In the part about Kevin and his mental illness, if we do find out that he lied and he did all this just to keep himself out of trouble, I think as a podcast, we should, I will, because as a black Republican and how hard it has been for me to gain the favor that I have, to be able to get on this is profound what I'm saying. As a black Republican, to be able to get on this program in front of everybody, and I'm going to slice this up and put this out there. I've worked hard to be able to be on this screen as Gesco Whyte, as an elected Republican, to have someone squander it away like this. It's disrespectful.
I think, first of all,
let's hear from Mac and Phil.
I would say this real quick to Gesco. If you are a part of a party that is going to take the singular actions of one or two black people and apply it to every black person who is a part of that party, then you need to get out of that party. If what you're saying is true, and this is how the Republican Party thinks, that they're going to take the actions of two individual black people and apply it to every black Republican, then that is not a party that black folks need to be a part of. If that's the case, because I would say, if it were me, I would not take on Kevin Farmer's actions or whatever action on me. It doesn't reflect on me at all as a black man or whatever political party. That's his issue. That's their issue. That doesn't reflect on
you haven't been through what I'm talking about, though, Kevin. Trying to gain favor as a black Republican and get to where you can get to where, like, you be a state representative or something like that, and get the endorsement, being a part of the machine, a part of the GOP, a part of what
from the colorblind party, not from the colorblind party, Terrence. They don't see color.
Okay,
it's all about your merit and what you bring to the table. What do you mean? What do you mean that your blackness matters in the Republican Party? They don't see color over there,
like you say it. But then whenever you get people like Kevin Farmer who go around putting the Republican badge on himself, not even earning it, he probably just registered Republican. He probably has never even walked or anything like that in any kind of put the Republican badge on himself. And then the headlines say black Republicans. It says Republican candidate for city council, Republican, not pretentious, Republican nominee for Congress. The Republican Party is getting the backlash for it, and because they're black, the Republican Party is not going to defend them like if they were white. Let's talk about if they were white.
Yeah, like the president of the United States, who is a convicted felon. That's just like the hypocrisy in itself. Like, you have to bend over backwards to be a good Negro in this party. And the moment a few people do anything wrong, and then they're looking at all the few dots of minorities that's in the party as like, okay, are you a criminal too? Like, I couldn't even stand for that. But to each his own. But that's just real rich for me when, you know, the head of the party is such a corrupt figure. And like they can't take a page out of being the moral compass of anything because their leader isn't. So I mean, to each his own on that. But if you have to feel like you got to be a good Negro in this party, flawless, when and white Republicans are not unflawed, they're not perfect, and they definitely have their bouts of corruption all throughout the party. And the only thing about the party, like you said, is right, wrong, or indifferent. They stick together. You know, there's no accountability for the actions. We just gave you an example earlier with the Justice Pat DeWine and Joe Dieters, and being sent to the highest office, having no judicial experience whatsoever. But, you know, I digress. You shouldn't have to go through all those hoops, but I wouldn't accept it. It sounds like total hypocrisy.
Hey, Phil, what do you think? I know you got to get out of here. Or Mac, whoever.
Well, I just want, you know, one thing I just wanted to say was that if it turns out that this is completely made up, like one of the things that's sort of incumbent on the media venues, including this one, is to make sure to follow up. And because what happens is you get a big story like this, it gets a ton of attention, and then it'll be a little tiny little, you know, blurb somewhere, or it'll be not even covered on television, right? Because it's not as big a deal as when she got arrested. When this turns out to be, if this turns out to be not true. So I think, in fairness to her, if this turns out to be just another sort of symptom of potentially mental illness, or something that's made up, I think we ought to clear the record for her if that's the case.
100%. Should they drop out of their respective races, Mac, real quick?
It probably doesn't matter. Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would, but, you know, shame, you know, I don't know if she should. If she didn't do
this could help her. This could help her if she didn't do it.
Right. Well, and if she didn't do it, I think there's a moral reason to say I'm not going to drop out, right? Like, there's a moral reason to say that it's not right to be pushed out of a race for that reason. Now, she's probably not going to win.
Probably a primary. If she could win a Republican primary, if she could win a Republican primary, that could be a push in the right direction for Black Republicanism. And especially if Kevin Farmer is the perpetrator. Phil, I'll let you say your words, man.
The flip side of this is that her personal safety and her personal health is more important than any stupid race, right? Like, if running the race is going to get in the way of her getting her life in order and getting away from Mr. Farmer, then probably, you know, prioritize that rather than running for election. You know, I'm not sure she should. If she didn't do it, she shouldn't resign. She shouldn't pull out.
Phil, Phil.
I got to jump off in a minute, but I'm just reminded of a verse in the Bible which says, "Bad company corrupts good character," or, as a friend of mine likes to say, "Who you hang out, you become who you hang out with." And I feel sorry for people. Maybe I'm stereotyping, but I think it tends to be women who are good people and get involved with guys who are just bad guys, and you know, it ends up hurting them one way or the other, whether it's physical abuse, emotional abuse, or just wrecking of, you know, reputation, whatever. So all I can say is, if, from what you guys have said, I don't know either of them, but if she is a person of good character, and, you know, I feel bad for her that she got involved with this guy. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta jump off, but good being with you guys.
See you, Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Take it easy.
Appreciate it. Say, Nathan,
you know, here's what I would say. I haven't got a chance to go yet. Let me go.
I was just gonna say real quick, we do have to be cognizant of waiting until the facts come in, and it's like we don't know. So like right now, we all are coming down pretty hard on Kevin Farmer right now, under the presumption that he's lying about this. And so I just have to caution and say,
the voice of reason,
we gotta wait to some degree. We gotta wait until all the facts come in, because if it does come back, that she did indeed pull the gun on him, then that creates a completely different conversation.
Yeah,
I'm not
her own
saying
house,
that she did or
no.
not. I'm saying we don't know right now.
So let me give
you
my
gotta
thoughts on it.
proceed with caution. Yeah,
Let me
go
give my
ahead.
thoughts on it. As I said earlier, I just have empathy for both of them. And to Kevin's point, we don't know what happened yet. I have no idea, so I have to wait and see. But to Gesco's point, I do see an avenue out of this for her, in the sense of we don't know. I mean, she had a weapon. People are making a big deal about a gun and no gun. Now, there was no gun whatsoever, and that's what the evidence and the investigation finds. That makes Mr. Farmer look really, really bad. But then it makes her look even better. But if they do find a weapon, and then the circumstances favor her in the sense that she felt like her life was threatened, she had to do what she had to do, that favors her as well. I've thought this for both of them from the very beginning. And some people question because, when they were posting online, I was like, I'm liking the post. Like, yeah, go ahead and do your thing. I'll say it again. We need Black people to be a part of the Republican
Not
Party. We
that
need people
way.
from different ethnicities to be a part of the Republican Party. But at the same time, we need ethical people. But so I have no problem with people running as Republican. My attitude for both of them was going to be, let me hear what they got to say. Let me hear what they have to say. I might be into it. I might not be into it, but just to be fair across the board, Democrat, Republican, or independent, I want to hear what you have to say. And I'm not going to just judge you about the situation. And I thought this from the very beginning for both of them. They didn't necessarily have to win their races to win. All they had to do, in my opinion, was just run strong. Just show whatever party, Republican Party, whoever, that I have the ability to run a very strong race. That's a win for you when you're a first-time candidate, in my opinion. And it looks like this situation might be messing with that. But I can see a situation where Rosemary comes out of this. She can spin it, Second Amendment, I'm standing my ground. She can spin that in a way. It doesn't even have to be a spin. It could be the facts where she stays in the race. And this situation might even lift her up. You never know.
The new MAGA Republican is unapologetic. They're unapologetic. They don't want to be held accountable. So why would either one of them drop out? I mean, the president is a convicted felon and he was elected. So why would they do that? That's not even the mode of like what this party is doing right now. They don't take accountability for anything.
See? That's what I'm talking about. That conversation right there, TNT, is an introduction of when people like that, when Kevin Farmer does what he does, he gets lumped into it's nothing different than what Donald Trump's are doing. There's nothing different. So what's his example? But because he's Black, it's elevated even more. That's why I have a problem with it. And with him and with Kevin, accountability. If he would just take accountability and say, hey, you know what? It got out of control. I saw him online defending, saying, yeah, I've been charged a bunch of times with DV, but I've never been convicted because in Ohio, they can drop the charges. You can go down and drop the charges. If you pull that stuff in Kentucky, as soon as you're gone, you're done. You can't even change it. So he better be thankful of where he lives geographically, because if you get put, like he's bragging about how many times he's beat DV charges, this is something that needs to be addressed. In my opinion, if he lied about the gun and these are false charges, these are no different than charges when women falsely accuse men of sexual allegations or anything like this. In this particular situation, to where she had a vein, she had more of a vein than he did, and I believe, in my opinion, he saw her as a threat to be able to do something that he couldn't do. So he sabotaged it any way that he could. He probably was like, well, you know what? If I do this, I'm going to lose anyway. I'll just blow up your campaign. I'll blow up your campaign.
So here's one of the things that I would say, and again, I can't say this with 100% certainty, and who knows what goes through people's minds or what their motivation was. And I'll just say this from a personal interaction that I had with Kevin. So a few weeks ago, Kevin was trying to get me to do a column on him for the election. I essentially told him, no, I'm probably not going to do that, right? Because I'm not really sizing up any of the candidates, and I wasn't going to make a particular exception for him. And so then sort of weirdly, he went from kind of trying to push and promote himself to like, well, what about Rosemary? Do something on Rosemary. And he was very insistent on trying to get her some publicity. And I thought it was strange because at that point, it still wasn't clicking to me like they had like some kind of relationship. I thought like, well, I knew they were both Republicans. So I thought like, well, maybe this is a Republican thing trying to help out another Republican. So I only bring that up just to kind of say that the dynamics of their relationship seem to be complex. I don't know to say, like, to your point, that he was attempting to sort of sabotage her politics because he was jealous of her doing something, because that doesn't, at least in my experience with him and him trying to push her, that doesn't jibe with what he seemed to be attempting to do for her, which was to elevate her and put her out even above himself. I mean, he even kind of said, hey, forget about me, do this for her. So I only say that to put that out there, only because you brought it up, Terrace, that at least in my experience, it didn't seem like he was trying to sabotage her campaign out of jealousy. In fact,
but that's when they were still good. But
yeah,
they had a bad night.
This was all. Check this out. But check this out, TNT. This was as recently as like Friday. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I don't know the dynamic. I don't know that I literally love somebody tomorrow and hate them the next. I literally have an op-ed sitting in my mailbox from Rosemary that Kevin, was pushing and trying to get put out as recently as.
Have you ever
Friday.
had a relationship
so
with a narcissist?
I don't know all of the particulars of their relationship or the dynamic. Have you ever had a relationship with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder? They will turn on you in a minute, and the smear campaign is real.
Yeah.
I think from just looking, I think he's MPD. The smear campaign is real. Once it clicks in his head, and from the videos that I've seen of him, it's either alcohol, drugs, or some kind of NPD to where it clicks. It clicked in his head from the video that I seen. I need to keep anything, blow up, and then that, in the beginning I said therapy and brother Kevin. I'm not saying this to be disparaging to you. I'm saying this for you to be able to fix yourself. You may be able to help somebody and be a help to someone else. It is mental health. It's okay to see a therapist. Black men. It's okay to go sit in somebody's chair and talk about your childhood and the mother wounds and the father wounds that you have that make you act out a certain way. It's okay, because if you don't, you're going to keep doing the things that you're doing. This lady, Rosemary, helps so many people. And how could you do that to someone who helps so many people for personal gain? That's my whole thing. And then to use the Republican Party behind it, that's why I'm going to be on your neck. And one last thing, and I'll shut up. This podcast is a powerful thing. This podcast changed the narrative of the Cincinnati brawl. This podcast is a bad mother. So we might be on here. I might have on this Gesco Whyte and all that kind of stuff. But as collectively as this podcast, we are an unheard voice of Cincinnati. People listen to us, and I'm proud to be a part of it, costume and all.
And I'm glad you're a part of it. Costume and all. I appreciate it. Hopefully you won't be the only one with a costume very, very soon, but I'm not going to hold you guys. I appreciate it. Again, to Rosemary and her family, to Kevin and his family, I wish you guys the best. I wish y'all work that out, and I hope y'all come out of it unscathed. I hate to see people get caught up in stuff like that, and that's just very, very sad. So wish you the best, both of you, and all your family members and friends. I know they got people that care about them on both sides, so I don't know the details. And hopefully when we get the details, we will talk about it and put the facts out there. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you. And to all the people in the audience, we appreciate you as well. We're planning to be back on Friday. Thanks to Mac Mariani. Thanks to Sexy Phil Heimlich. Appreciate you. To my brother in this endeavor, Kevin Aldridge, the voice of reason, TNT. And to our new, just meeting you, Gesco. Hope this is not the last time we meet you, bro.
I got some more different ones.
All right.
Hey, Nathan, before we go, though, since, I do want to say, man, let's send some prayers up for the family of TT Stearns, Enzi, as well as Rob Williams. These are two brothers who were in media, who did great things. I mean, TT from the film industry into what he was doing on, I believe, Fox 19, doing the movie reviews, which I watched every time he was on there. And, of course, Rob's been in the market for a while. dealing with his cancer diagnosis. And, it's just been a shocking reminder to everybody, including myself, that you got to go get yourself checked on and looked at. As men, sometimes we just kind of ride it out until, it's evident that what ails us can't be ignored. So I think, let's hope that, this is kind of a wake up call to all of us to go see about ourselves, to get checked and make sure that we're doing good, because we lost a good one. And hopefully, Rob will get his treatment and he'll be on the recovery and on the mend soon. So we can keep him around for a while longer. So I just wanted to say that prayers up to both their families.
I could burst out in tears. TT was a good guy, man.
Great guy.
He was a good guy. So I'm glad you said that, man. But yeah, he was a real good guy. Knew him. Worked together on some projects. He was a real one. So very difficult. So thoughts and prayers to his family. Didn't know Rob like that, but thoughts and prayers to his family. So yeah, man.
We love y'all.
Yeah, prayers up.
Yeah,
man,
absolutely.
Those are good tears, man. Worthy tears for a good brother, and we're definitely the worse off for the loss, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody, and thanks for being here. We'll be back on Friday. Take it easy.